And he's somehow convinced all of us that these people are the fucking criminals. White men in America are 45 more times likely to commit a fucking violent crime than an immigrant.
I doubt it.
I say, fuck you. How are we getting those people back from fucking El Salvador? Because I'll tell you what, if I became president in 2 years from now, or 4 years from now, or 3 years from now, I would pick up the phone and call the fucking president of El Salvador and say, you either fucking send them back or I'm going to fucking invade.
Ooh, don't do it. Please don't do it.
It's a fucking crime what they're doing. He's a fucking dictator thug.
Wow.
In this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns and those who dig. Broadcasting from a Montana wilderness fortress at the headwaters of the Missouri, this is Matt Christiansen Live.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Matt Christiansen Live, a proud duct tape production for Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025. Thank you for tuning in. Sitting shotgun tonight is a guy new to this role. It is his debut sitting shotgun, but he is not new to the stream. It's my friend Bill. Thanks for joining, Bill.
Saddle up, partner.
Well, howdy.
Thank you for sticking with the show's Western theme. I appreciate that. That was not rehearsed. That was on the spot. Very good. We'll get into more about Bill and his family situation in a moment. You may have heard us discussing it in Superchat and prior streams. We'll talk about that later in the show. In the news tonight, video of a black guy getting violently arrested during a traffic stop in Jacksonville, Florida, has gone viral. And as always, there's more to the story. And new body cam footage provides some more information. Ben Crump was the one to release the original footage. That's also a dead giveaway that you're not getting all the relevant information. Hunter Biden is back doing the podcast tour. I don't know if he wants to do this show, Bill, but maybe we make the inquiry and see if Hunter Biden will stop by.
I mean, I'm from internet slums, so he might fit right in.
I thought you were going to say you have similar experience with crack or something. No.
Oh. But I had definitely known money at crackhead in my day. I was a correctional officer for 13 years.
Oh, okay. So you've interacted with many hunters. You just aren't a hunter yourself.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, Hunter Biden hates everybody. And so some of what he says is kind of sane. Like he says, he talks a bunch of shit about Democrats. It's like, all right, yeah, all right, Hunter kind of gets it. Maybe based Hunter, like based Fetterman. Who knows? The rest sounds like he's still on drugs, though. So you're the expert, Bill. We'll make that determination later. Donald Trump himself has now called Obama a criminal in this quote-unquote treason case that Tulsi Gabbard has built. Tulsi Gabbard adding some more information to that case yesterday and then at a press conference today. And then the House is going home early to avoid a vote on releasing the Epstein files. It's not a cover-up. There's no scandal here. It's just they kind of lost control and they had some votes to maybe try to force a release of Epstein files. And Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and the rest of the Republican leadership said, nope, screw that. We're going home. See you guys at the end of the summer. Nothing to see here. Plus, we'll take calls and emails to close. If you'd like to call the show, you can do that using the Discord server that's linked in the description. There are instructions and help available on the server for you. We'll take your super chats as well. And hey, speaking of, if you enjoy the show, please consider supporting the show. You can do that one time or recurring for as little as $1 a month over on my website, mattchristiansenmedia.com/support. Support for the show not only helps me sustain, but it pays the people who make the show possible. There are perks available for your support as well. Or you can check out the merch store. Lots of great graphics for t-shirts, mugs, and more available in the merch store. Likewise, merch sales help not only my operation, but they support the designers who made these graphics, all of whom are listeners of the stream. MattChristiansenmedia.com/shop. Find both of those links right there on the homepage, MattChristiansenmedia.com or mattis.gay, if you can't spell my confusing name. Got to say hello to our friendly listener-owned business for the evening as well. That's our friends at Western Razor Company. We know we're being lied to on a daily basis by our government, by corporate media, and by razor companies too. Think about it. Their ads used to appeal to your masculinity. Then they took advantage of your sensitivity with aloe strips. They kept adding blades, thinking you wouldn't notice how clogged they get, and the more they changed, the more plastic and disposable they became. The honest truth is those other razor brands are lying to your face. And our friends at Western Razor aren't going to take it anymore. That's why their safety razors are 100% metal, made in the USA, and made with integrity. The replacement blades are inexpensive as well. You get a great shave, you save money long term, because when you buy Western Razor once, it lasts forever. Listeners can get a 10% discount on any order when they use promo code MATT10 at checkout. Don't let those other razor brands lie to your face. Go to westernrazor.com, order yours today. Western Razor, the last razor you will ever need. And as always, don't forget, you get 10% off everything and all the many fine offerings from our friends at Hero Soap Company. Bar soap, liquid soap, shampoo, conditioner, and more, including my signature scents, Timberline and Old West. Great smelling, all natural products. Portion of the sales benefit military and first responder charities as well. 10% off, herosoapcompany.com, promo code MCListener. Promo code MCListener, 10% off at herosoapcompany.com. Of course, find all the information for all my deals at mattchristiansenmedia.com/deals. Deals by listeners, for listeners. Quick piece of housekeeping, Bill. I know I made the announcement on Sunday, but if you didn't see that, yes, I am taking August off. There will not be streams or videos during the month of August, but the rest of my business operation is still happening. So video calls with supporters, Bible study, all the other stuff that I do will continue as normal. I plan to be off August 1st through September 7th, tentatively. For a more detailed discussion on the break, you can see the start of Sunday's stream. But without further ado, Bill, now I've known you for a long time. You've known me as well. I think you've listened to and supported the different variants of this stream since around the time I started talking politics originally, sometime around 2016. So who is Bill and why is he here?
Well, Bill is a lot of things. Essentially, though, I am a blue collar guy with a dumb IQ, right? Like a high IQ when I say dumb, and so I'm just a fanatical researcher and reader. I'm a little bit autistic too, so you guys will have to forgive me.
That's
with that
perfect.
Sometimes.
You'll fit right in.
Yeah, exactly. Right,
Yeah.
Perfect person to be on the internet, right? I was a United States Marine. I was a sheriff's deputy corrections for 13 years. I done some private security. I've been a kettlebell instructor. I've done martial arts pretty much my whole life. I'm a Christian. I'm a dad. I have a nearly 21-year-old, and recently I had, went in the past 7 years, I had remarried a wonderful lady, which we'll talk about here in a bit. But as far as the show goes, I will not be niggardly with, my giving toward the show.
I am not going to be niggardly.
And one of the things I probably gave that was most substantial to the show was that right there. I used to call in a lot. I was like the high-level Patreon supporter when I think Matt was first starting off with Rebecca. Came to the show through her, actually. And it was, beginning of the Trump era. So it's been like 9 years.
Yeah.
Like we've,
And when you say that, you called in and we were talking about hilarious words that sound like slurs, or, I love these athlete names that sound like slurs. And I had never heard the Bernie Sanders quote from the late 80s where he's running for Burlington mayor or whatever that's from. He's talking about daycare or some child care benefit. And that's when he says it.
I am not going to be niggardly.
You're the one who made me aware of that quote.
Well, Matt, let me just say this. Whatever you do, do not go on Google Translate and go from English to Korean and type in "I say what." Okay.
I could do that right now, but
just no one else out there.
Maybe later in the show.
Land, don't ever do that. Okay.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining. It's great to have you. I trust many in the comments and chat will treat you very kindly, as they always do.
Yes, of course.
And appreciate your contribution. And we'll talk about your family situation later in the show as well. I know, Bill's got a little bit of a tough situation going on with his wife's health, but it sounds like things are about as good as they could be, circumstances considered, and we'll talk about that to close the show or before we get into calls, but to hop into the news, Bill. And by the way, I didn't know you were a former sheriff's deputy. So when we get into this body cam footage talk here of this traffic stop arrest, I'll be curious for your. I assume have you done traffic stop?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
I wasn't patrol. I know
Oh.
plenty of guys though that do all that stuff. I mean, this stuff's it's all the same. I was a security forces in the Marine Corps. I was infantry, but they have a security force designation. You can go through first, whatever, for special designated assets, and the use of force rules are all pretty much universally the same. My department actually was kind of gay about the use of force because they rather you pepper spray someone first than put your hands on them with basic escorts. But that was a political thing in the area with so but that's the thing is those things can change, and depending on the police force, like if it's city or county or state, it's going to depend on what the politics might be.
Where in the stack of use of force did punch a guy in the face land? Because that's going to be relevant tonight.
I thought that was that's what's that called? Contempt of cop. The cop gets angry, so he takes it out on me.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not saying that guy didn't maybe need to be arrested, but seemed like a bit much to me.
It's maybe not by the book, but man, is my patience thin, and we'll talk about it.
I've been in those situations too, man.
Yeah.
I've been in those situations too. I've definitely told an inmate I would put him down once or twice. So, yeah.
Well, hopping into the news, we'll get more into that traffic stop in a moment. I have not followed the Idaho murders story very closely. I'm generally familiar with it. I was aware that it was supposed to go to trial later this year, and it was right about to do that. And then, of course, Brian Kohberger reached a plea deal with prosecutors. But this is the case. Brian Kohberger broke into that college house at the University of Idaho, stabbed 4 people to death. That was November 2022. And there were a lot of pretrial ongoings in this case. It moved down to Boise from northern Idaho. And Kohberger's defense threw pretty much every piece of spaghetti at the wall that they could, as far as I understand. So this thing was just taking forever to get going. And then very abruptly, they reached that plea deal a couple weeks ago. And the deal is that Kohberger would plead guilty to the murders in exchange for life in prison without parole. And the death penalty would be taken off the table because it was highly likely he was going to get shot in the face by firing squad. So I assume that's why they reached the deal. Notably, the deal did not require him to explain why he did it. So he just said, yeah, I did it. But we still don't know why. One would assume he was like stalking one of those girls or something. It seemed like maybe a romantic interest kind of thing. But anyway, today was the sentencing. It's now official. Brian Kohberger is sentenced to 4 life terms without parole. But it got a little bit weird. And of course, as often happens at sentencing for heinous crimes, there were victim statements read in court today, a dozen of those. And the family for Kaylee Gonzalez, one of the women murdered, read a statement, and it was actually kind of more of a roast.
Quick message from our youngest daughter. Aubrey wanted to say, you may have received A's in high school and college, but you're going to be getting big D's in prison.
Thank you.
Fucking owned, bitch!
Okay, well, I had not heard that yet, Matt, so I appreciate that. I've been doing a lot of religious study the last week or so and today, and
I just happened to see that a little. It was not actually in my show plan earlier when I texted you. I just happened to see that. And okay. I am not here to police how families grieve. Okay. That family lost their daughter. They're changed forever. They deserve justice to the full extent. People grieve differently than others. Doesn't making a prison rape joke kind of cheapen the moment though?
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm still laughing about it. So I don't know.
Got a
man.
reaction. Yeah.
Well, look, there's a Robert Heinlein and Stranger in a Strange Land makes a point of these like 3 monkeys, whatever. He's telling Michael Smith he's an alien from Mars, right? He doesn't understand why people laugh. He's trying to figure it out, and Jubal, his mentor, is trying to tell him, why people laugh, And it isn't until he sees these 3 monkeys and this tragedy that happens with them that he laughs. And basically, one monkey, I think, has a banana or something. A bigger monkey hits him over the head, takes the banana, and then even a bigger monkey hits him over the head, takes the other banana. And Michael starts laughing, and he realizes that people laugh because it helps us get through painful things.
Totally. I'm the same way.
Yeah. And you're going to find that like people who have had professions like I have, you'll see this in EMTs, stuff like that. They're going to have very dark humor most of the time.
Or is it a joke at all? Do they actually just hope he gets raped in prison? I mean, Big D's in prison. I'm sure they'd be happy with that.
I mean, here's the thing. I can tell you right now, prison culture, they don't really care if you rape women. They only care if you rape children. So
Kohberger, he's off the hook in prison
culture. Probably.
Right. Well, let's get into this traffic stop that we were talking about, because this is the latest black guy getting violently arrested outrage. That video dropped this week on Monday. It's gone viral on X, originally posted on Instagram, but it's going crazy. In Jacksonville, Florida, a 22-year-old named Anthony McNeil released this video through Benjamin Crump. Benjamin Crump, of course, the so-called civil rights lawyer guy who drops in every time a black person is killed or otherwise allegedly abused by police. He jumps in and tries to make a buck off every dead black body that he finds. In this case, it was not a dead black person, though. It was just a guy who got punched in the face, apparently. But the video shows police breaking Anthony McNeil's car window during a traffic stop. They punch him in the face. They put him on the ground. They cuff him. And the video is captioned, "This is America," implying, of course, unjustified police abuse, possibly racially motivated. I say possibly because the video doesn't say that, but Benjamin Crump does. Benjamin Crump, the lawyer for this Anthony McNeil, issued a statement saying that the video is a disturbing reminder that the most basic rights, like asking why you've been pulled over, can be met with violence for black Americans, only black Americans, even though one of the cops here is black. One of the guys who punched him is black. And then he says his client was calm and compliant. Now, he might have been calm. I'll give him that. Compliant, I'm not so sure. But here is the video from McNeil, again, posted through Benjamin Crump on Instagram on Monday.
Exit the vehicle now. Exit the vehicle. Show me your hands.
Here. I'm here. What is your reason, sir? Step out. What is your reason? Step out now. All right. No.
Put somebody. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
So no context for why the window was broken, why the punch, why the arrest. Just be angry. Trust these racial activists that this is racist abuse. Now, just from that video, Bill, do you have any comments on what may or may not be standard police protocol if these are sheriff's deputies as you once were?
They are being aggressive. Again, I worked in the jail. I did transport stuff with like inmates, watching inmates in the hospitals and stuff like that. But my job was at the jail, right? But there's still the rules apply for use of force. They were angry. It seems to me that they were worked up, but the guy, which I know you're going to show the rest of the video, right? The guy was being a pain. And that's what's going to happen is the cops are going to get themselves worked up. Now, here's just a word of caution, guys. If you have a bunch of big, beefy cops, and none of those guys look little, right? They're probably all at least 5'10", and they're probably all well over 200 pounds. They look very thick, right? And most police forces aren't employing lots of little guys. I know the trend with women and all that stuff, but even if you have like a little cop you're dealing with and you think you can do something with him, and once his buddies get there, there's going to be a bunch of big guys, and no matter what, it's always 5-on-1, 6-on-1, 7-on-1, 10-on-1. No matter what, there's always more of them than there are you.
So you're assuming he didn't want to get punched. I think he wanted to get punched.
Well, he might have wanted to get punched. Yeah. I liked when he got punched and he just kind of took it. Like he took that punch really well.
He did take it like a champ. Whatever joke you may have for
like, that comments like a bitch because I mean, you know, I'm just saying.
Well, that video was just released out of nowhere on the internet, again, through Ben Crump on Instagram. That prompted, it was actually news to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Department that the video even existed. And so that prompted the Jacksonville Sheriff to investigate and explain. They had a press conference on Monday. And the incident, this traffic stop and arrest, actually happened back on February 19th. A sheriff's deputy pulled over McNeil because he didn't have his headlights on and wasn't wearing a seatbelt. McNeil refused to provide his ID or registration. He locked himself in the car, and then he refused to exit the vehicle when directed some 7 times. McNeil later pleaded guilty to resisting an officer without violence and driving on a suspended license, and so he was sentenced to 2 days of time served, and that was back in March. And then he was given his phone, and now out of nowhere he just drops this footage through Ben Crump, presumably to launch some kind of lawsuit or public campaign. But the sheriff's department, of course, has multiple body cam video angles because each of these deputies involved, I think all of them had their own cameras. And so we can see the sequence of events as described there. So here is one angle of the body cam footage.
Yes, sir.
Is there a reason why you're popping the door open like that?
I don't have a window that works. Is there a reason that you're pulling me over?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a reason why I'm pulling you over. For one thing, inclement weather, you don't have your lights on. 2 things, you're not wearing your seatbelt.
It's daylight.
3,
I don't need the lights. And it's not weather. It's not raining.
Oh, this is inclement?
It's not raining.
Okay, I'm not arguing with you. I'm telling you why I'm pulling you over. Give me your driver's license, registration, proof of insurance.
No, call your supervisor. Why?
Excuse me?
Call your supervisor.
Step out of the vehicle.
No.
Step out of the vehicle. 25 seconds. For 94, the driver just slammed the door and locked it.
Call your supervisor.
I've already told you. Right now you're under arrest for resisting. Sir, this is your last warning to open the vehicle and exit before we're going to break the window. Open the door and exit or we are going to break the window. Open the door and exit or we are going to break the window. Open the door and exit. You are under arrest for resisting. Open the door and exit. You are under arrest for resisting. Open the door and exit. You are under arrest for resisting. Open the door and exit. You are under arrest for resisting. I'm about to break the window. All right, go for it. Exit the vehicle now! Exit the vehicle!
What is your reason, sir? Step out. What is your reason? Step out now. Get on the ground. No, don't fucking. Get on the ground.
Put your hands behind your back.
I'm resisting.
Hands behind your back.
You gonna throw my phone like that, bro?
Yeah, I'm gonna take it off
now,
of you,
man.
bro.
Marijuana in his right pocket.
Yes, it is.
So, bro, I didn't do nothing.
It's called resisting, idiot!
I didn't do nothing.
He did the thing. He said the line at the end. I didn't do nothing.
It's not against the law, ho. Fuck you.
Oh, boy. Now, hard to tell from the video, but according to the Washington Post coverage, 2 different deputies punched McNeil in the face, a white guy and a black guy, if I understand correctly. McNeil said he suffered a chipped tooth. So they also say there was a large serrated knife in the car. There is an image of the knife. Police say he reached for it. The video, as far as I've seen, doesn't show him reaching for it. But all right, you have any expanded thoughts based on the body cam?
I mean, I've seen the body cam already. Look, I'm not against the cops on this. I'm just saying they were aggressive, so he can have that complaint. But they were doing what they are lawfully allowed to do. The punch might have been excessive, but good luck having any sort of case on that when you're, resisting basic traffic stops. And the guy pulled you over to cite you for a seatbelt and not having your lights on in inclement weather. Like, take the L, dude. It ain't worth it. Like, and
it'll be worth it once Ben Crump is done. It will be worth it.
Well,
he's going to get paid.
From the cops' perspective, just from a safety security perspective, the guy's in a van with tinted windows. I'm in West Virginia, so we're always rolling with weapons out here. We're constitutional carry. We have like 50% of the population owns firearms. Like, we have one of the highest rates of veterans and all that stuff. So, like, I get that. I get that they might be concerned about that, and they might be aggressive for that reason too. The issue is that there are other police officers who just do stupid stuff, who come up to people and be like, "Hey, give me your ID." And it's like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting here. No, give me your ID. Why? Well, because I'm investigating a crime. What crime? there are constitutional protections. So there's like this fine line, and you have to decide for yourself, right? Am I going to be the one? Am I going to be the guy that's going to stand up today?
Yeah, I think he's this is not a constitutional hero.
Right,
this guy is
exactly.
baiting for a lawsuit. And of course, this was all part of a press conference. The information that we got is part of a press conference on Monday, and it was held by the very racist black guy sheriff. And he said he believes the video was released in this way intentionally to inflame the public, not to investigate what happened or pursue justice or accountability. Here's some of his commentary.
Given that McNeil never brought this incident to JSO's attention, but rather pushed the cell phone camera footage that he had in his possession since March 5th out on social media, one can only assume, and I'm saying I assume, that he intended to inflame the public. The administrative process is still ongoing, and as such, I will neither defend nor commend Officer Bauer's response to resistance until all the facts are known and the investigation is completed. However, as the leader of this agency, I will not remain silent while important facts and information are buried to advance an anti-police agenda. McNeil was arrested and pled guilty to resisting a police officer without violence. Force absolutely looks ugly. And because all force is ugly, whether or not the officer involved acted within outside JSO policy, that's still what we're investigating.
Okay, so to be clear, McNeil, the guy arrested, he didn't take this video in his possession to police or to some sort of city government or county government and make a report or file a complaint about what had been done to him. They just put it out there on Instagram for rage bait. And as part of this press conference, the sheriff announced that the state attorney's office, the prosecutor there in Jacksonville, will not bring any criminal charges against the officers involved after they've concluded a criminal investigation. The cop who initiated the stop has been stripped of law enforcement authority while an administrative investigation proceeds. So the cop, the prosecutor there has determined he didn't break the law, but he may have violated sheriff's department protocol or policy. They're currently investigating that, and he's not policing the streets while they investigate. So, Bill, I've assembled a series of questions that I think both parties should answer, and then I will issue my verdict, which you can probably already tell. But questions for McNeil, the guy arrested. You've already said it. Why not just... I know why not. I'm asking this. I know he wants the payday, so I get it. But if you want to avoid getting punched in the face by a police officer, why not just comply with a generic, boring traffic stop? I think pretty much everybody has been in a situation where you receive a ticket with which you disagree. At least I have. And even if the traffic stop is totally bunk, you take the ticket, you fight the ticket if you wish. Sometimes you might beat them. I have before. I beat a parking ticket in Oakland, California once. I'm very proud of it. I wore a suit and a tie, and I went in there, and I had photographic evidence that parking ticket was bullshit, and I won. Very proud of it, like 15 years later. Number two for him, why release the video this way? Why not go to police first if you believe you were wrong? If you think the police are biased against you, go to local government, someone who's not in the police department, and handle the dispute that way. Go to the prosecutor, potentially. Releasing publicly on Instagram first suggests, I think, what the sheriff is saying. You want outrage, you want lawsuit fodder. And I think that, personally, I think that's what he's doing. He farmed a conflict for a payday, and he's probably going to get paid. Now, did the cops act perfectly? Why the punch? Now, I know why the punch. The same way why you might punch any guy on the street. He's begging to be punched. He's not cooperative. The punching is, I can't say certainly. I don't have law enforcement experience. It strikes me as not by the book. Strikes me as probably not law enforcement protocol. Another thing that I've seen people asking is, why didn't police file their own use of force report that would have prompted investigation? The answer, if I understand the sheriff correctly, is they did. The investigation did not find wrongdoing because the punching isn't clearly visible on the body cam footage. You might think that's BS, but I looked at the body cam footage. I actually don't see the punching on the body cam footage. So unless I missed one, you do see it in McNeil's video. And so you can ask the police, well, why didn't they inform their department that they punched him? Well, it's like I said, some things probably were not by the book here. And I get that. I understand that police need accountability to the extent they exercise authority over all of us. We must hold them accountable. I'm not diminishing that point. I still have zero sympathy for McNeil. You farmed conflict to try to get fame and a payday. Police conduct matters, shouldn't be punching people in the face absent some kind of self-defense need. But the conflict was clearly invited by this guy. He wants the fame. He wants the payday. He's probably going to get it. Doesn't justify the punch, but it does explain the punch. There is no punch if McNeil just acts like a normal person in a normal traffic stop.
Right. I'll tell you what, that body, you're right. I watched that body cam footage first, and the only reason why I knew there was a punch is because the guy was showing his hand to the other cop and some of the body cam footage.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't see McNeil's footage till after I watched the body cam. And often, I'm not saying everywhere all the time, it's going to depend on the amount of money that they have, but often police departments will just settle. It depends, because if they're suing the department, it's either going to be the city, the county, or the state, and often they will just settle. And it might not be for millions and millions of dollars, but the guy might get, a couple G's. I had an inmate who had the bunk actually fell, like it came off the wall and fell. And he was a regular there. Like, we all knew him really well. He basically lived there, and I worked at a county jail, so.
When you say regular, you mean he was repeatedly arrested?
Oh yeah, well,
Okay.
All of them are.
He's like your buddies with him at this point. Yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, man. They come into jail and they're all buddies, and they're all like, "Hey man, what's up?" It's crazy, but yeah, he got like 50K out of that. I think it was something like that. And this is, I haven't been there in over 8 years, so it had to be at least 10 years ago or more. I would think, and he got that out of the county just to make it go away, just nice and quiet, wrap it up.
Well,
so
I bet this guy gets paid. I think we're going to hear about that pretty soon, but we'll follow the story as it develops. Did you hear what, let me pull up this story. You hear what Hunter Biden had to say on some of these podcast episodes this week?
No, I know nothing about this. Okay. I didn't know about this till you showed me the show notes.
Well, Hunter's back, and of course he's looking more pardoned than ever. So good for him. He's making a few podcast appearances, and notably, the biggest one is I've never heard of this channel before. Channel 5 with Andrew Callahan.
Oh yeah,
it's a
Channel 5's great,
giant YouTube channel, but it's new to me.
Dude, it's actually really good stuff. It's like on the ground journalism. He's kind of lefty-ish, but yeah.
Okay. Well, for whatever reason, Hunter decided this was an appropriate venue for him, and we got 3 hours of Hunter Biden talk on this channel. And now, Hunter claims to have been sober since 2019. That's the official story. In fact, last year I was digging up this old Axios story from Alex Thompson of Original Sin, Joe Biden's Mental Decline book with Jake Tapper fame. And last year, I don't know when, sometime around this time last year, not only was Hunter Biden claiming to be sober, but he was saying that his sobriety was going to be key to keeping Trump out of office. So I guess that didn't work out very well. But the reason I bring this up is I think one possible explanation for some of the things he's saying, just how sober is Hunter Biden? I think it's fair to ask. Maybe he's at least taken an Ambien or two from his dad's stash, as he says Joe dipped into before the debate. More on that in a moment. But I think the most interesting thing he had to say was what he had to say in this Channel 5 interview about immigrants, both the content of what he said and how he's saying it. So to Americans who want illegal immigrants out of the country, voted accordingly in the fall, he says, fuck you, because immigrants are way less violent than you are, of course. And but it's the commentary, if I was president commentary that he has here, I find very interesting. So let's listen to that.
And he's somehow convinced all of us that these people are the fucking criminals? White men in America are 45 more times likely to commit a fucking violent crime than an immigrant. And the media says, well, you got David Axelrod and, Rahm fucking Emanuel. So fucking smart, Rahm Emanuel. He said, we got to understand that these people are really mad. And we got to appeal to these white voters. Rahm, the only people that fucking appealed to those fucking white voters was Joe Biden, 81 years old. And he got 81 million votes. And he did not because he appeased their fucking Trumpian sense, but because he challenged it. I say, fuck you. How are we getting those people back from fucking El Salvador? Because I'll tell you what, if I became president in 2 years from now, or 4 years from now, or 3 years from now, I would pick up the phone and call the fucking president of El Salvador and say, you either fucking send them back or I'm going to fucking invade. It's a fucking crime what they're doing. He's a fucking dictator thug.
Bukele or Trump?
Both.
That would be the president of El Salvador he's talking about there. But
cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Now, when he says white American men are 45 times more likely to commit violent crime than illegal immigrants,
I doubt it.
I think I know what he means. Now, there are studies out there that say that U.S. citizens in general are more likely to commit violent crime than illegal immigrants. Now, I don't know. I can't tell you about the reliability of some of the methods in those studies, but they exist. Might be true, might not be true. My dispute with these sorts of statistical claims, like illegals don't commit violent crime as much as Americans do. Okay, but even one violent crime from somebody with no right to be here is a product of a risk that we did not agree to accept, and it shouldn't happen, and it should be dealt with. One person committing a crime doesn't justify or excuse the crime of another. We don't say to murder victim families, well, murder is actually way more common in the next state over. So, I mean, how big of a deal really is this? No, that murder matters, and we're going to treat it like it matters. We're going to do what we have to bring that murder to justice and potentially to stop another one in the future. To that, Hunter Biden apparently says, fuck you. But the commentary here I thought was interesting because even the numbers presented on the screen don't really support or say what Hunter is saying. He said white men, U.S. citizens, are 45 times more likely to commit violent crimes than illegal immigrants. They put this chart on the screen, supposedly shows that. Now, the chart, what do you see? No sources cited. I don't know where the data are coming from. The y-axis is just 0 through 300. What does that mean? Is that like instances of violent crime? Is that raw? Is that per capita? There's no label of years. What time frame are we talking about here? Is this 1 year? Is this decades? No idea. Even if you read the chart as presented, it's not actually about white men. It's about U.S.-born citizens, which, of course, includes many in the 1350 Club. If you meant white and you said white, show us white crime stats. They don't do that. But let's say that this chart shows what Hunter Biden said it showed, or what they put up to support his statement. Let's say that this was white U.S.-born citizens. Even still, it's not 45 times the violent crime of illegal immigrants. You have the blue bar on the left that shows violent crime at about 210, whatever the measure is. It shows illegal immigrants committing violent crime at about 95, whatever the measure is. Unless there's something crazy here that I don't understand, that's roughly double. That's not 45 times. And that's if I believe the data that they're giving us, which I don't. But you have any thoughts on the numbers presentation here?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure that was just a Cracksburg, and
you're right. What am I doing?
I mean, seriously, you just drop the F-bomb like every other word, and throughout a bunch of nonsense. You did a video a couple of weeks back about the drop in fentanyl deaths, but yeah, and illegal immigration, and there's a ton of things that come on top of all that. Now, from what I understand right now, the cartels are basically laying low. They're trying to chill out their operations for the next administration to come, which is why a lot of this has halted, because it's just not worth it for them to keep pushing. They actually are in a bunch of other industries. They like steal gas. They have manufacturing industries.
How do they steal it? Are we talking like on a big scale, or just talking about like siphoning people's gas?
No. They steal it straight from the pipelines.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like everything with them is a large scale operation. Usually, it's not just like a few thugs doing some stuff.
So human trafficking is the most profitable thing for them, because it's a continual income stream.
Do they have their own gas station? Where do I go for cartel gas? Is it cheaper? I'm willing to risk it. I'll risk decapitation for $1 a gallon gas.
They steal it and resell it. Sean Ryan had a lady on who, a journalist, and I don't remember her name, recently. She talked about this. But in any case, back to what I was saying about that. But if you look at like a lot of the cities as well, the crime rates in these cities have dropped with this illegal population dropping, or at least the illegal population and cartel crime going into hiding. And what people I don't think understand on the bigger picture of this thing is this is like a very much an international thing. Yes, it's a lot of like south of the border cartels, a lot of Mexican cartels, but they're in competition with each other. but what they've done is they've recruited like Eastern European mafioso types, right? Because they had a strong sex trafficking thing for a long time in Europe, brought it over here to some degree. They integrate military experts, special forces type stuff like that. They're far more sophisticated and integrated than you think. And if you go all the way back to Enron, this is like an autistic spurg, right? You go all the way back to Enron, like we know that they were like funneling money into cartels through banks and stuff. So this is nonsense that American citizens do more crime because we're not counting what the cartels are doing and how they're moving and working. And there's all this hidden stuff that goes on and all this hidden death. I mean, think about Tom Holman's account of the container full of dead people, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like that's kind of a more regular thing than you probably think. Like maybe not at scale, but you know what I mean?
Well, thank you for the walkthrough on the crack numbers. I suspected they were fraudulent.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Now, his commentary, though, so beyond just the numbers, like when he says, if I was president, and then he says in a few years, X amount of years, am I reading too much into the crack talk? Because it sounds sort of serious. When he's considering specific timeframes, it implies interest to me. Am I reading too much into that, or is that just crack talk?
I don't know, man. I think he's just cracked out, dude. Like he never acts well. This guy is always unhinged. He's always acting like an evil bastard, and his dad is an evil bastard that's treated him really poorly his whole life, right? Like, I mean, I don't feel bad for the guy because I mean, what kind of person goes and sleeps with his brother's grieving widow?
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
But yeah.
He'll probably be advising Anthony McNeil on how to get that bag of money, actually. He'll fire Ben Crump, he'll get Hunter Biden in there, and he'll collect the cash that way. But his actions as president I found really fascinating, too. I've never heard of or even thought of the concept of invading a foreign country to get deported illegal aliens back. And I hope Hunter Biden runs on that platform. I'm going to invade foreign countries to bring illegal immigrants here. You thought it sucked when Joe Biden left the border wide open. Hunter Biden is going to reach new levels. We're actually going to use our military to bring illegals here. And it's such a crazy thought that there's not even a term for it. Do we have a term for that sort of action? Like a reverse invasion where we actually take over other countries by force and force them to come here? I don't even know what you call that.
Is that called a deconquista?
Something like that. I don't know.
Deconquista.
Yeah.
Because it's the reconquista that they're participating in now.
That's better than reverse invasion. That's the best I could come up with. So we'll go with that.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Well, I was just going to move on to my next points, unless you got something else.
No, I had something on my mind, and then I lost it. So go ahead, man.
Well, Hunter then went on to do the classic argument, you know, if you don't support illegal immigrants, who's going to mow your lawn? Who's going to feed you? Who's going to clean up after you? And of course, even that was punctuated in Hunter Biden style too. If you have concerns about illegal immigration and you voted on that basis, then
I say, fuck you.
Okay. So that's what he had to say about immigration. Then he talked about Ambien. Well, he talked about the debate. Well, of course, this was about this time last year when Joe Biden had that disaster debate and quit the race, or was pushed out of the race, however you interpret it. But Hunter also said his dad, Joe Biden, was on Ambien, the prescription sleep medication, during or right before the debate last summer. That, of course, was his final moment, at least in electoral politics.
I know exactly what happened in that debate. He flew around the world, basically, and the mileage that he could have flown around the world 3 times.
Yeah.
He's 81 years old. He's tired as shit. They give him Ambien to be able to sleep. He gets up on the stage, and he looks like he's a deer in the headlights.
Okay. Now, is that actually true? Again, it could be crack talk. It could be true. I mean, I don't necessarily believe Hunter. I don't know that I believe Joe's people either. So decide who you believe. But let's assume that it's true, that Joe Biden did Ambien or was on Ambien during the debate. That's news for a bunch of reasons. First of all, in Joe Biden's publicly released medical records, we have no mention of Ambien at any point. And his doctor in his medical, his his medical memo released last year, his doctor noted 6 medications that Joe Biden was taking. Ambien was not one of them. And then the New York Post here has reviewed all of Joe Biden's publicly available medical records and found no mention of an Ambien prescription. And then, of course, before the debate last year, you had a challenge from Trump and company to take a drug test before the debate. That was laughed at. That was mocked. We're not doing that. They dodged questions on it. They wouldn't commit to it. Turns out maybe that was a pretty pertinent question. And then you look at like Washington Post coverage from this time last year, end of June. It wouldn't even matter if he did take drugs because experts know there is no drug that will temporarily mask cognitive decline. So who cares? It's a moot point. Okay, just very interesting breaking news from Hunter Biden here that, if true, exposes a lot of prior Democrat lies about the state of Joe Biden and potentially what substances he was taking.
Well, they also said because he traveled, he had a cold, right? He was recovering from a cold. He was very tired from traveling, this, that, and the other thing. And by the way, he was the best he ever looked and has ever been. And I'll fight you if you believe otherwise.
Yes.
Right. So what I remember what I was going to say, Matt, what you're seeing is who was running the White House, right? It was him and Jill. So you were mentioning about
you mean
the
Hunter,
decon keys.
Hunter and
yes,
Jill.
Yeah. Hunter and Jill. Like we're pretty certain. Now they had aides, of course, that are really running things, and that's actually how Washington actually runs. Like even
many
of
those people probably have AIDS.
They had AIDS for sure.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, Joe wasn't running anything, and Joe's never been a good guy, and Joe was never a hard worker.
Here's what I don't understand too about Ambien specifically. Now, as far as I'm aware, I've never taken Ambien. I don't know when I would have without my knowledge, but Ambien is a prescription sleep aid. That's really the only reason it's used. It is a short-term sleep aid. It puts you to sleep. It's an insomnia treatment. Why would Joe Biden be given Ambien before a debate? The point would be to put you to sleep. Joe Biden is Sleepy Joe. He doesn't want to look sleepy. He wants to look energetic.
He just had too much energy. Trump could not keep up with him.
Of course,
if he did not take that Ambien.
The question I'm getting at is there possibly a sabotage angle here? Was Joe Biden sabotage Ambien? And Hunter is not saying that. I'm not accusing him of saying that. But I just don't know. Why would pre-debate Ambien be used at all? That makes no sense. But that's what he says.
Or he's lying to you, Matt.
It's crack talk. Yeah.
Now,
Hunter appeared on some other shows too. He was also on the former DNC chair Jamie Harrison's new show. And Hunter is taking shots at like George Clooney, at other powerful Democrats. He took shots at the Pod Save America guys too. And they're now taking shots back at him. So here's Hunter ripping them.
How arrogant do you have to be be Pod Save America? Like we've designated them as the guys that are going to save America. You know, like 4 guys living in West Hollywood making $1 million a piece or more than that for the past 4 years.
Now, yes, if you're curious, that is a new Hunter Biden personal record for most words spoken without using the F word. So congratulations. 6 years sober and 20 words without the F word. So Hunter Biden doing great these days. But all this critical commentary about Democrats too. Now, again, maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe it's all just crack talk, but I think people are wondering and theorizing, what is Hunter up to? Is Hunter strategizing? Maybe he just does hate everybody. And so he's ripping Trump and Democrats alike. And there's nothing more to it than that. But this is the guy who picked up bags of cash around the world, clearly strategizes in other situations to make them as advantageous to himself and his family as possible. Some things to consider. Is Hunter, I like this one the best, number 2. Is Hunter trying to make Democrats pay him to go away? Be so annoying. Like, he's just like the guy getting arrested. I'm going to be so annoying till you punch me in the face and then I get paid. But Hunter is just, no, I got nice new teeth. Please don't punch those. I'm going to be so annoying until you make me go away because I'm Hunter Biden. I collect sketchy, slimy, immoral bags of cash, and that's what I do. And this is my latest bag of cash. Or is Hunter actually running for office? We talked about that a little bit. Or is Hunter trying to get a job in media or a reality TV show? Or the theory that you proposed to start, which is the simplest one and therefore probably correct, Hunter is just crazy and or drug fueled. And even if he's not on drugs, that brain has been fried by many drugs in the past and probably has not recovered.
He's like 10 years older than I am, I think. I don't even know if he's 10 years. How old is he? 50?
Mid-50s, I think. I can look it up. Yeah.
56. I'm 44. Mind you, I'm a young-looking 44, but I don't know, man. He's
55. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, he looks like he's wearing death. Like, he's like grizzled. I'm not saying he looks like old, but there's something. It's like the drugs. There's no way his mind was not warped through that. There's no way living in the Biden household and family that he was not warped through that whole experience at this point. And I feel like the guy's just trying to do anything he can. He's just a shiesty guy trying to do anything he can to make money, stay relevant, have some power, which with Joe gone, I mean, basically, who's going to want to hire Hunter for power?
It is rough. I hear the painting sales have dried up.
Well, you
just be annoying
paintings,
until
right?
you get paid that way.
Paintings are how you embezzle money. It's like one of the easiest ways to
makes sense.
Money launder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, we will see what Hunter's latest antics bring in the near future. But moving on to Trump and Obama, and then Trump and Epstein world, we'll get through that. We'll talk about Bill's family situation and his GiveSendGo, and then we'll jump into calls. So it might just be a little bit longer for callers, maybe a little longer than usual, but I appreciate your patience, guys, and we'll get right to you as quickly as we can. But the alleged Obama treason case continues. Recall on Friday, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard declassified a bunch of documentation that she says proves that Obama directed his intel community to ignore previous reports and the prior intel community understanding that Russia did not hack the 2016 election. And then she says they went on after Trump won the election to fabricate claims that Russia had helped Trump win. It's a very broad paraphrasing of everything she released. Well, Tulsi, of course, said that Obama committed a treasonous conspiracy, which is a criminal term, and she has, in fact, made a referral to the Justice Department for prosecution of someone. Today, she kind of hinted that maybe that's Obama himself. We still officially don't know who that referral is for. Could be Obama, could be people around Obama, could be both. But it's now on Pam Bondi's desk, so rest assured it's going to be very effective very soon. But this week, Trump himself made the same claims. In the Oval Office, he said Barack Obama personally has committed very criminal acts.
Whether it's right or wrong, it's time to go after people. Obama's been caught directly. So people say, oh, a group. It's not a group. It's Obama. His orders are on the paper. The papers are signed. The papers came right out of their office. They sent everything to be highly classified. Well, the highly classified's been released. And what they did in 2016 and in 2020 is very criminal. It's criminal at the highest level.
Okay, everybody needs to shut the hell up and file charges at this point. You cannot say it is time to go after people and then not go after people if you're in charge of going after people, and Trump and Pam Bondi are. So now you have to file charges for multiple reasons. Number one, the president and his people accusing others of crimes and then doing nothing to prosecute those crimes shows they weren't serious about the accusations. Now, I'm not saying Trump's not going to. I'm just saying you've put yourself in position now where you must. If you don't, what you're saying is borderline defamatory. Oh, big-time criminals committed treasonous conspiracy, but you don't prosecute them. Then what the hell are you talking about? Two, if Trump and Bondi don't charge and prosecute, really looks like a distraction job from the Epstein files. And it might be that. Sorry you didn't get the Epstein files that you were looking for. We're going to go get Obama. Look at the shiny object over here. Oh, wait, no, we aren't. And if that's what happens, if this is a deflection and then the prosecution doesn't actually happen, it's trying to fix a problem with more of a problem. Stop making giant claims about what's coming and then doing nothing about it and under-delivering. And please, for the love of God, if we're like a month or two out from this and people are saying, where's the Obama charge or charge for anybody in the Obama administration? I can't believe you're still talking about Obama. Who cares? You're a weakling. You hate me. You're a former MAGA, whatever. I want to believe that they're serious, but I'm very worried this is just going to be Epstein Files, the sequel, and it's just posturing. You're substituting more big talk to distract from the Epstein big talk, and you're just going to get a double dose of big talk.
Yeah, I mean, what are they going to do with the Supreme Court ruling? The Democrats will make a case that Obama had to do this as an official duty. So there's that whole thing that just happened, right? That they've been saying
that could be a complicating factor.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That Obama did this as an official duty to save the republic from Donald Trump. I don't know how all of a sudden we're going to be a republic when, of course, they're constantly talking about us being a democracy, but that's probably what they'll go with. But yeah, I don't know why he keeps doing this or what's the disconnect is. It seems to be the Epstein thing, the issues with Bondi. Of course, O'Keefe got that story that made Bondi come out in front with the announcement that there were files that they had with the children and all this stuff. But then they're like, oh, we have nothing else to release, and now what? They're trying to get a court order to have things released. So
one of those has already been shot down. I'll get to that in a moment.
Right. So they didn't think this through. I want to believe that Tulsi Gabbard is more organized than this, and that she actually has something put together.
But she's not the prosecutor, though. I mean, she's DNI.
Sure. She won't be the one leading any sort of prosecution, but in the end, is the DOJ even going to do anything about it?
Yeah, that's the big question.
Yeah. I mean, well, we don't have Bill Barr anymore, so that is good, you know.
Is it, though? Is Pam Bondi better?
She's not.
Give me those Coke bottle glasses once more. I'll put up with them.
I mean, look, man, I grew up near DC. I have a pretty good relationship with DC, and I can tell you, like, everyone who says it's a swamp is absolutely right. It's because everything is about just continuing your political ideology in the ecosystem, right? Like put it out there, let people hear it, let them keep supporting you, and never really solve any problems. And that's really how DC works. In the meanwhile, you put money in your own pocket, right?
Yeah. Well,
yeah, and in your friend's pocket too, right? So
Tulsi has added more information to the case because she came out on Friday. She said she had this information that implicates Obama in treason. Obama's people responded. I forget what their statement was, but of course they deny it. And then Tulsi early this week, in fact, was it released this morning? Yeah, it was released this morning. But she declassified a House Intel Committee report that says that she says exposes how Obama and his administration manufactured the Russia lies. So more information on that accusation. She posted several key findings, among them that Obama and Brennan, Brennan at the time was what, CIA director? Yeah. Personally fabricated the Russia hoax and suppressed intel that Putin was preparing for a Clinton victory, that Obama and Brennan and Comey and Clapper used the Steele dossier to form their conclusions, overruling senior intel officials who said it was fake and shouldn't be used, and that Obama ordered the intel community to make this assessment that implicated Trump, and it wasn't produced organically through theoretically non-political intelligence officers. But another day, another cool story without corresponding charges. I know that's not Tulsi's job, that's Pam Bondi's job, but we're getting still more hype and still no charges. And as part of the presentation at the White House press briefing today, this is where I get a little worried, because like Tulsi hates Hillary, and who doesn't? I can't blame her for that. But I just wonder how much of this is legitimately real. And I'm not saying it's not, because I do believe that there's information in the release here that Obama people should explain and have to answer for. But I also wonder, like, how much of it is Tulsi hating Hillary for calling her a Russian bot and other things that they've had in their feud. because as part of the information and the report, the House Intel report that Tulsi released, she's got like health information on Hillary Clinton that was exchanged among Democrats and the DNC in 2016. And I guess Hillary had all sorts of health problems in 2016.
Yeah.
According to these emails that people didn't know about. She had
no, but it was a campaign issue. It was a political issue. If you remember back to the time, like she had felt faint and several other things had happened, and people were.
I remember the one before, it was September 11th, wasn't it? She like collapsed and they put her in the van.
I don't remember the specifics of the date, but yeah, and so this would have been brought up at the time. Yeah.
So Tulsi she gave a presentation at the White House press briefing, and there's a lot more detail than just this. It's not strictly this, but she did talk about Hillary. She said Hillary had psychotic emotional problems, and among other things was taking horse tranquilizers, or no, just regular was it horse? I don't know. I don't know what kind of tranquilizer.
There were high-level DNC emails that detailed evidence of Hillary's, quote, psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, and that then Secretary Clinton was allegedly on a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers.
Heavy tranquilizers, not horse. I don't know if they're for horses or not. It's not like that horse paste from COVID. But, you know, Hillary is a clinical crazy person. Shocking. You decide if you consider that to be breaking news or not. She got the Michael Jackson treatment with the tranquilizers, apparently. Now, here's what is shocking, Bill, and it's very low-res image of the release, so I apologize for that. But in the report, the House Intel Committee reveals that Hillary had DVT.
Deep vein thrombosis, DVT.
The blood clot that could be life-threatening. So Hillary and I are brother and sister in that struggle. Hillary's, I think, was hardcore, though, because if this is correct, Hillary got it before COVID, before the vaccine shedding. I mean, that's a serious DVT if it's a pre-2020 DVT that Hillary had. But if she had that, you talk about health conditions that are difficult to hide. When I had it, I can't walk. I mean, I limp around. You'd see me and be like, that's a man who's injured. He can't move like a normal person. So if she had that, maybe she just wasn't seen for a few days while she was limping around, or potentially in a wheelchair or something. But I don't know. Hillary with the clotted legs.
Type 2 diabetes, ischemic heart disease, deep vein thrombosis, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Sounds like she's in bad shape, but
may have died years ago.
Too.
May have died years ago. That's true. It's not medical records. It's claims in emails.
Right. But it wouldn't surprise me because she's a little tubby, she's a little round.
Well, if all of this isn't a cover-up for the Epstein Files debacle, there's a lot of other things going on that kind of look like an Epstein Files cover-up, of course. I lost my... Oh, here it is.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Yes, we are still talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Now, in recent streams, I mentioned how House Speaker Mike Johnson said he favors transparency. He did an interview. Said, I favor transparency for the Epstein Files. In fact, when I predicted Mike Johnson would do nothing about the Epstein Files, he came out and he said, no, I favor transparency. And I corrected the record. I gave myself a fake news award for saying Mike Johnson would do nothing. And then Mike Johnson rewarded me with doing exactly that. Yesterday, House leadership canceled votes and decided to leave early for the August recess. Why did they do that? Because Republicans lost control of the floor over bipartisan pressure to vote on forcing a release of Epstein-related documents. So no more floor votes. Committees might do some work here and there, but we're not doing floor votes. We'll see Labor Day or beyond. So that's one piece. I mentioned that the judge, one of these federal judges, also said
This is how you know it's intelligence that's going behind all this. By the way, just say it.
You think the intel community is behind Mike Johnson, or is Mike Johnson just saying one thing politically?
No, behind the whole Epstein.
That's what I mean. Like, are they manipulating Mike Johnson? Yeah,
they have to. Well, there was the skiff thing he went into the other few years back that he said that when he came out, he changed his mind on releasing. Or no, it was about manipulation from Russia. I forget the specifics, but Mike Johnson has changed several times with the intelligence community. And that's really who runs our government. So, I mean, anyone who doesn't believe that or doesn't understand that, you need to read some stuff because that's the truth.
Well, the good news is they're getting prosecuted imminently for their treasonous conspiracy, and I, for one,
sure they are.
can't
Sure.
wait. But
Sure.
but there's also, so to remember, first the Epstein files were a fake, they were a hoax, nobody cared about them. Why don't you just move on? Oh wait, I guess there are grand jury documents we could try to release. Hey, Pam Bondi, go do that, so people will leave me alone. There were 3 requests made, or requests in 3 cases to get grand jury documents related to the investigation and prosecution of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. And there was, I forget what the 3rd case was, but now one of the 3, so a judge on one of those 3 has denied the request to unseal these Epstein grand jury documents. This grand jury was convened in West Palm Beach. There were 2 of them actually in 2005 and 2007 to investigate Jeffrey Epstein. The judge on this case ruled that the DOJ failed to provide sufficient arguments to justify unsealing the records. Now, unsealing grand jury records is in fact very uncommon, and it only happens under very narrowly defined circumstances. So it's not necessarily unusual to see that request denied. But again, we're told like, oh, we're going to get all this information for you. The story was the files were on Pam Bondi's desk. Now they're under the control of a federal judge in a federal court. We can't access them. It's out of our hands. Okay. Then you also have a Wall Street Journal report that says that this was reported today. Trump is in the Epstein files, or that the DOJ and Pam Bondi told Trump in May, hey man, you're in the Epstein files. Now, in what way did Pam Bondi and the DOJ tell Trump you're in the Epstein files? That is unspecified. I mean, we know that Trump had associations with, some degree of friendship with Jeffrey Epstein prior to 2004. Who knows what sort of documentation could be in there? But to me, this seems like the fact that Trump is in the Epstein files seems like a necessary conclusion if you buy the Wall Street Journal's prior reporting over the weekend, which was, or Thursday last week. Trump wrote a happy birthday letter to Jeffrey Epstein and drew like women's boobs or something and said, may every day be a wonderful secret. This handwritten note in a book compiled for Jeffrey Epstein's birthday by Ghislaine Maxwell. If you buy that story as true, the Wall Street Journal said that letter is in the book that is in possession of the DOJ, and the Wall Street Journal has reviewed it, but we won't show you the picture. So if that reporting is true, then yes, Trump is in the Epstein files. His boob drawing is in there. Or he might be...
Pics or didn't happen.
We all want to see it, yeah. But
I'm sorry to get you off your flow there, but yeah.
No, well, but this one is like, okay, the Wall Street Journal tells me he's in the Epstein files. Right, you told me that last week, though. You told me about the boob drawing. Right. So he must be in the Epstein files if he drew a boob picture and said, wasn't that awesome when we raped all those kids, Jeffrey, signed Donald, or whatever they accused him of doing. Anyway, the thing that doesn't, I guess I need to look at the timeline. Like, so they're saying Pam Bondi told this to Trump in May. Did Trump say anything pro-Epstein release post-May? I'm trying to remember the timeline of his commentary. We had the binder release and stuff way before that. But I wonder if this is true. I don't know why
Trump would halt this because he's in the files, because everyone knew that he would be in the files. It's been documented. There have been people on YouTube that have made full-long videos and that Trump knew about what Epstein was doing. I mean, I've seen it from both ends. The other end, of course, is that he was against it and he kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago, which is true. But look, the guy was a playboy and he was a multi-millionaire, like a stupid millionaire, right? Like hundreds of millions, if not a billionaire, although I know people question that. And he did get many beautiful women. And of course, he would probably know Epstein because Epstein was in that like getting beautiful women kind of business, so he could blackmail people. We don't know a lot about Epstein. Like, we don't know really how he fully made all of his money. There's all this stuff there, but no matter what, if you look at it, especially with Ghislaine Maxwell and her father, Robert Maxwell, he has to be tied into intelligence. It has to be. And And it could be that it's not just Mossad. It could be with the CIA, and it could be with the Russians as well. It could be with several groups. It could be with MI6, just like Robert was. So, I mean, that's the way I see it. And what Trump did or didn't do, this is probably beyond him. So,
well, we won't crack the mystery today, but of course we'll keep following. I know I have some in the email question segment. We have some more Epstein related stuff. But before we get into callers, and again, thank you for your patience, callers. I'll get to you momentarily, but I want to give Bill a chance to talk about what's going on with his wife's health situation. I know you've super chatted about it a couple times, and you've got a GiveSendGo to try to support your family through this. But tell me a little bit about your wife and what's going on with her health.
Yeah, so this is a terrible picture of Christine, but Christine made
I have
this
other
because
ones.
you can, yes, yeah, you can see on the one side of her face that she was sweating like profusely if you look at it. So she has had this thing that she told me immediately when we first met called Harlequin syndrome, right? Those are our two little girls there. And so one side of her face would get really flush and one pupil would dilate. And I was just like, okay, well, I don't really care. You know, I met her. In fact, I met her. She was wearing that green dress you saw there with Jordan Peterson. I saw her about half a block away walking down the street, and we met. And I was like, I thought she was really pretty, and we sat down. And she was like, "Can I hold your hand?" And we were just like, we were a couple from the moment we met. And so she's worked in the Liberty space for a number of years. And of course you can see that she worked for Young Americans for Liberty. She worked for Freedom Works. She worked at Project Veritas briefly, well, almost a year. She worked for was it White Coat Waste Project, White Coat Waste. Most people don't hear the name and like things click, but they're basically the reason why why Fauci was involved with COVID, Fauci Beagle experiments, all those things. So my wife is a fundraiser. She does basically, she branches out, reaches out to people, builds networks, gets people to donate money. So that's what she does for a living for these political causes. We're libertarian-ish. We're conservatarians, I would say. I'm probably actually more conservative anymore these days, but in any case, like I said, like love at first sight. I've always supported her career. I actually talked to Matt and Rebecca years ago when we first met, and I told you guys that I thought I met the one, and Matt was like, "You meet the one? How do you know that?" I'm like, "Well, I've dated a lot of girls, and I'm pretty sure I could tell." And Christine and I have had our ups and downs, but sure enough, we're still together. And I think every down that we have builds us up, that we love each other even more. And so this Harlequin syndrome, we knew was probably a pinched nerve or something. Well, 7 years later, my wife's in not even that long later, but my wife's starting to be in debilitating pain, like terrible pain. And it continues and gets worse and worse and worse. And there's some atrophy in her left leg, and she's got like this limp and other stuff going on. Scoliosis is getting like worse. And she's seen doctors and she's done a lot of physical therapy and all this other stuff over the years. And finally she got to a functional neurologist, and he said, "Well, let's do the MRI," and we do an MRI, and she has a tumor in her spinal cord. So not on the bone, not outside the bone, but inside where the nerves are, right? And that's basically strangulating her spinal cord, shutting it down. And I mean, like, this is a big tumor, guys. Like the incision on her back's like that long, right? It's a good 8 inches or more. And right now, because of the surgery, she can't really walk. Like, they removed the most of it. Fortunately, it wasn't cancerous, so it hasn't spread to her body. It was benign, but I think it's a gangliomyoma is what it's called. So
where have I heard that term recently? I also had to say that, and I couldn't say the term. But anyway, that's beside the point.
Yeah, my understanding of anatomy, like the dorsal root ganglia, it's a ganglion is the cell or whatever. The dorsal root ganglia is like has to do with anatomy in the back and the spinal cord and all that stuff. But so I'm sort of familiar with this, but it's just remembering what specific cancer it was. We thought it might have been an astrocyte, an astrocytoma, but the test results came back with the gangliomyoma. In any case, she still can't walk. She's walking with a walker. I have to get her up and down the stairs. Yeah, we have a 4-year-old and 19-month-old. We're running around, or I'm running around chasing them. I was telling Matt before the show, in the last 6 weeks, I've gotten about 6 hours or less. 6 weeks. I meant to say 4 weeks. That's a misspeak. Sorry. The last 4 weeks, I've got about 6 hours or less of sleep every night. I was running back and forth from Johns Hopkins for a little over a week or so. And then she got to a closer rehab facility in Albany, Virginia, that I was running back and forth from. And then last Sunday, she got to come home. So she's doing well. She's 33. She's recovering well. But yeah, like, we need help because although we have insurance doesn't cover everything. Insurance only covers rehab and PTs for a point, right? We have off the bat like a $7,000 deductible, which unfortunately with this economy, the cost of food and stuff like that, like we just don't have that kind of we don't have money sitting around. I haven't been working because of the kids. We want to raise our own kids. We don't want them in childcare. So we just believe in the generosity of folks and the community, and was putting it out there. And I consider Matt a friend, even though we're not like besties. We're not talking all the time, but I consider Matt a friend, and I knew that he would mention it and or something. And he told me it was probably best for me to come on the show and do it. So,
yeah, and I'm glad you did. Nobody's going to explain it better than you could. I could try, but I have not had this experience. And of course, I'm very sorry for the circumstance. I'm very glad to hear that it sounds like all things considered, the surgery went as well as it could have.
My wife, my wife has, she basically has very little pain right now. In fact, everyone, like ICU and everywhere she was at, Johns Hopkins, and later at the rehab center, they were saying, you complain so little, blah, blah, blah. Your pain is so low. Everyone else is saying their pain's so high. And she's like, my pain was already at a 10 all the time when she would have a pain flare.
Well, that's good. It's good that the pain is at least somewhat relieved then.
Well, yeah. So now it's just the rehab to getting her fully functional, be able to get around without my assistance, without a walker, which is going to be a journey.
And I don't know what that's like, but I do know that everything in life is very, very much harder when you have toddlers running around. So God bless you guys with that effort. And if you'd like to support Bill and his wife, there is a GiveSendGo account linked in the description. Of course, it's very much appreciated if you decide to do that. Bill has been a great listener, contributor, supporter of this stream for pretty much as long as I've been making it, and I really hope the best for you and your family through this. So thanks for telling us the story.
All right. Yes, sir.
You ready to take some calls?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, let's, I'm going to remember to unmute myself in Discord, which I always forget to do. But let's hop into Discord. We'll talk to Bobble first. Bobble, are you there?
I am here. How you doing, sir?
We are well. Thanks for your patience. What's on your mind?
Yeah. Couple little things. I was spending a little bit too much time on Facebook, more than I usually do in the last few days, and I ran into a lot of people who were just still completely obsessed with the Stephen Colbert thing from over the weekend.
Okay.
And I'm trying to understand, like, outside of that one theory that I think it was a senator or somebody that you introduced on Sunday had about, supposedly, this was all about CBS trying to make the Trump administration happy so they'd let them do their big merger or something. I was trying to figure out if there was any other sort of conspiracy theories or...
Their angle on appeasement is a few things. It's the settlement of a lawsuit that Trump filed against CBS and 60 Minutes for the deceptive editing of a Kamala Harris interview last fall, which he said was some kind of election interference. People said that it was a baseless case. They think CBS would have won if it went to trial. It didn't. CBS opted to settle it. Then you have, what was the other factor? What else did Chris Murphy say? How am I forgetting? It's the firing of Colbert is the other thing. That CBS is making these moves to butter up Trump to approve the Paramount merger is the claim.
Yeah. Like outside of that, is there any other? I don't know. I've seen so many people who are so absolutely adamant of the fact that this is somehow or another political censorship, and I still can't quite fathom how they've come to that. How this is censorship. Because they're bowing to Trump and. Nobody can say a bad word about Trump on TV anywhere. Like it's somehow, I don't know. I feel like I was missing something.
Those are the pieces that I've heard articulated. So if it's more than that, I've missed it. But yeah, whether you think there was some political motive or not, I don't know how you get around the financial reality that this show was losing tens of millions of dollars a year. And even if you really, really hate Trump, and you want to get him, and you think that Stephen Colbert is the best comedian to do that, how many years in a row are you going to lose $40 million to pursue that effort, especially when it's not really working because he just got reelected?
Is Stephen Colbert's, I don't know how much Stephen Colbert is worth, but is he going to personally finance the show for a couple of years?
Maybe
$50 million a year to try to keep himself on air? I don't know.
Now, if you could show me that Stephen Colbert came to the table and said, listen, I know that this has kind of become a financial mess. I would like to keep doing the show, and I'm willing to take a 90% pay cut because it's just not making the money. That would be a little more. It would erase the financial component of the calculation. But so far, I've not heard anyone from Stephen Colbert or his camp saying, "Oh, it can't be financial because we made a very generous financial offer that CBS refused." As far as I'm aware, Stephen Colbert still wanted to get paid, and CBS said, "No, thank you, we can't do that."
Yeah, Stephen Colbert makes me sad. I remember, like end of high school, 2009, 2010, like he was, the Colbert Report was such a big deal for, all the kids getting out of high school who thought they were politically savvy. Like it was, the commentary was clever and it was on point, and like looking at what he does now, it's just man, it makes me sad.
Well, thank you. There's a lot of things that have gone that way. Former entertainers I could list off musicians and video game companies and there's
that. I mean, that's, yeah, definitely.
Anyway, thank you for the call. And, if you find persuasive evidence of censorship, send me an email because I'd like to see it.
I'm still waiting. I've been told that it's, obvious, but we'll see.
By the way, quick tech check. Bill, you can hear the caller, right? I just want to make sure we got everything.
Yeah, everything's good.
And
I just don't want to take away from his time.
And Bob, you can hear him, right?
Yeah, I can hear him fine.
Okay, just making sure. All right.
I did want to say this. Most people don't realize how fake our system is and how much money they lose on popular things because they're just trying to blast it out there to control narrative,
Oh, you're saying how much corporate loss is willing to be accepted in pursuit of pushing a message? Yeah,
right. And actually, things like USAID, where was part of the system of propping that up.
I bet.
Right.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Bobble. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Have a good night.
You as well. Okay, Turles is next. Turles, are you there?
Oh, hello. Good evening.
Good evening. What's on your mind?
Well, I haven't called in months, so I'm way behind the
welcome back
curve here on recommending books and stuff.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that bit. Okay, is that what you plan to do tonight?
It is indeed. Yep.
What do you got for us?
For the evening. My book for the evening is a little bit of a heavier read. Maybe you've heard of it. It's I don't think I've recommended it before. Alan Bloom's The Closing of the American Mind.
Sounds familiar. Rings a bell. I don't think I've read it, but is it? Well, you tell me. What is it?
Yeah, Alan Bloom was a philosophy professor at Cornell in the 1960s. He wrote this book. I think he published it in the early 80s. Big hit, and for good reason, even though it is a little bit of a heavier read, like I say. He's a very academic sort of guy. And so, a lot of what he says may fly over the heads of people who aren't kind of used to philosophical talk. But it's still really interesting. I would definitely recommend the audiobook for it. He talks about basically the intrusion of relativism and quote unquote openness into the thought processes of higher education. How that basically became the sort of default standard way that everybody from students to faculty think, the way that they consider everything. And this is a particular problem, of course, morally speaking. People within the university system, they basically presume from the outset that there is no such thing as absolute truth. There are no firm moral standards.
Ugh.
Everything is basically just consensus. And basically, this culminates very interestingly because, like I say, he was professor at Cornell, and this was the site of an armed black student revolt, where they actually sort of they sort of holed up at the university for a good 30 hours with guns, making demands about how the university should introduce black studies and how it should.
Is that how it all started? At gunpoint? That makes sense. That sounds about right.
Literally, yeah. I mean, this started black studies, and they wanted pardon for past disciplinary actions, and the university capitulated to all of these demands, and Alan Bloom ended up resigning in protest, as anybody with any ounce of integrity would. Saying that this was, of course, a huge blow to academic integrity.
Well,
so,
I, as someone who still defends my own college experience for reasons I am running out of, I suppose, I was in this arena in 2006 to 2010 in a political science department at an American liberal arts college that should have had all this stuff. Now, I'm not arguing your point that moral relativism and the denial of objective truth, objective reality, that has been the result. But I never, how come I never got that stuff? But everybody not everybody, but I think you're exactly right that is the prevailing view of college graduates, especially in humanities or non-scientific disciplines.
Absolutely, yeah. And this is, it is absolutely. And this is one of the things that Alan Bloom is really, going to bat for. He laments the loss of a good liberal arts education, and the way that.
Well, even that, God, it's like that term has been, it's been diminished. It's been defamed or something.
What we want is a classical education.
Correct.
Almost nobody gets that anymore.
Yeah. Well,
I took Latin in high school. How many people do you know that took Latin in high school?
It breaks my heart. Nobody is learning Latin anymore.
Right.
And this is foundational to Western civilization, and we don't care anymore.
Yeah.
But I went to Calvin College myself in Michigan, and I went there right around the time that they were basically closing down their Greek and Latin programs.
In favor of what?
Just new shiny stuff. Certainly humanities programs. They were also increasing their STEM fields. But even that, to me is a huge issue because people now treat university like a sort of jobs training program instead of just a place for scholarship and the exploration of ideas.
Yeah, and that's why I went, and that's good for some people, but it's definitely not right for everybody, as I've said many times. I feel like I got a benefit of talking about Socrates for a while, and I think it was useful for me, but there are a lot of my friends who would never benefit from sitting around talking about Socrates. They should be plumbers. They should be electricians. I don't say that as a better than, worse than statement. They're going to make more money than I ever have when they're successful tradesmen. So it's just I think it's just an acknowledgement that some people like to sit around considering philosophy, and maybe it's useful or beneficial for them. Others, no, they need a practical skill. Not just for their own satisfaction, but to have viable careers. And so somehow we've determined that everybody needs to sit around and talk about abstract theory all day. No, they don't. They need to learn how to do something that they can market and actually
Really?
have a career from.
Not doing a great job of it, because as we kind of touched on, it's not even like we're really digging into ideas anymore. What we're doing is we're sort of giving this this facade, the impression that that's what we're doing, but we're really just kind of indoctrinating, right? We use universities to tell people there is exactly this one way to think.
Correct. Yeah. It's critical thinking, but you better arrive at the approved conclusion.
Exactly.
Well, it's like inculcation into a religion. That's what I believe it is. So
Pretty much.
but that's not the same as indoctrination. So indoctrination is on a deeper level, but it's at least initiating people outwardly, right? It's kind of like sort of bringing them in. You have to like get in the inner circles to truly be initiated. So that's the way I see it. But yeah, I could go off on a whole tangent on this.
Thank you, Tarlis. Quick last word. I find this stuff fascinating, but I do have to let you go. So last word if you want.
Yeah. Absolutely. I will just say this is important to me because the whole idea here is I think a lot of people drift along in society without understanding where the ideas that impact them come from. They may have a huge impact on your life, and you may adopt these ideas. Feminism is a good example, I think, that a lot of women absorb feminism from the culture. They might not even call themselves feminists, but it impacts the way that they behave. And this is true of all kinds of concepts. And so I really appreciate Bloom for that, and he goes into the influence of Nietzsche and Heidegger and how they've, they were kind of instrumental in introducing all this relativism to the university structure. So,
well, thank you for the thoughts, and appreciate you calling in again. Have a great night.
Sure thing. Bye.
Okay, one more call. We're going to go to Skulldugger. Skulldugger, are you there?
I am. Hello.
What's on your mind?
First, I'd like to say hello to Bill.
Hi.
And best wishes to your wife, your whole family, your whole support group. I just wish the best for all of you.
Thanks, sir.
Also, I would like to nominate Bill as the official replacement in the rotation for Matt Palumbo.
What do you got against Matt? Just his Bill's technical skills were on point tonight.
Yeah, well, I mean, other than Matt is a routine shit show every time he's on the show.
How
nothing.
dare you?
We call it duct tape. Okay, it has entertainment value.
Yeah, he brings it by the roll, man. You need to get a duct tape sponsorship.
Well, I've said that for years. Gorilla Tape. That's the one I want.
Oh, Gorilla Tape. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I've been on many streams though, so I kind of know how to act a little bit, I think. And I've been watching. I do know Matt, and I've been watching him for a long time, so I think I know like not to be an idiot. I don't know.
That's the lesson you took away from all my streams. I don't think you paid enough attention.
Don't be an idiot.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't be an idiot.
Anyway,
yeah.
sorry.
Well, I mean, just based on keeping the mic in front of you and for remembering your headphones. I mean, you're already.
It's kind of a bit. No, well, all right. I don't want to spend all of our time ripping on.
All right.
Another
he's not here. It's
setter.
not. He's not here.
Matt is on a very highly regarded trip overseas right now, and I can't really say more than that. But
okay.
Contrary to this defamation, he has big important things going on.
It's not defamation if it's true. I have said nothing untrue.
All right. Now, my clock says you have 10 seconds left, so you better get to the point that you wanted to make.
All right.
Yeah.
So this is going to kind of piggyback off of what I was saying last week. So this is going to be kind of a continuation.
Let me restart the clock.
All right.
Go ahead.
I'm pretty much at this point, like, I'm just kind of over the whole Epstein files thing. I don't think anybody actually understands what they are even saying when they say Epstein files, release the files. I don't think you actually know what you're talking about.
I'm just talking about what Pam Bondi said is on her desk. That's all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so Pam Bondi's desk is like some Lovecraftian, a portal to some Lovecraftian dark dimension.
Yeah.
Like things go there never to be seen again. I mean, I said what I said about Pam Bondi last week. I mean, she's useless. She's entirely feckless. Who cares what happens with this Obama thing? You think like she actually has the political fortitude to go after anybody in the Obama administration with anything that gets referred to her? Like this will be another absolute nothing burger.
Yeah, I'm
I mean,
pressing X to doubt, but I hope to be
Yeah.
Pleasantly surprised.
I mean, I will say if she actually pulls something out of this Obama thing, I would actually. I mean, I think that's a bigger scandal than this Epstein. I think the Epstein thing was just a botched, like overpromise, underdeliver. I don't think Pam understood what she was going to be receiving from the FBI. I don't think anybody actually understands what it is the FBI had in their possession as it pertains to Jeffrey Epstein. You have to understand the FBI started investigating Jeffrey Epstein in 2006. So like the amount of stuff that they're going to have is going to be so far reaching and go in so many directions that it would take years to even parse through all this stuff. There's no way that Pam Bondi was going to receive truckloads right before the weekend and then be ready to release it.
I demand a photo of the truck. Okay, if you can't show me the documents, just take out your phone, take a picture of the truck.
I don't think there's no I think the truckload was a figure of speech. I think a lot of
no. She meant it literally. I need to see.
That's the thing is, I think a lot of things are. I think there's a lot of coded language as it pertains to this whole Epstein case. Also, the fact that it sat with the FBI for so long, there's no way that there's any actual useful information as far as it goes to bringing down some cabal of child rapists.
Now, see,
like the FBI would have purged so much of any of the useful data before handing it over to anybody. That's not the way the FBI works.
Yeah, it could be. Now, I grant that truck and truckload could be metaphors, but I did not know that on my desk is a metaphor for doesn't exist. That is a poetic term that is new to me, but I'll take your word for it on Pam Bondi.
Yeah, I mean, so her involvement has only overcomplicated something that was already complex to begin with, and that is that there's no neat files. Everything is going to be heavily redacted. Like anybody who thinks that the FBI is just going to hand over 20 years of investigative material on something this big without removing certain things, deleting things, keeping things hidden in secret corners of the FBI. Like if you think the FBI just complied and turned over absolutely everything they had without editorializing, like you just don't understand how the FBI works. Like also, if you think these people are powerful enough to have killed Epstein while in custody and completely gotten away with it, you think that they're just going to comply with the White House? Like, no,
yeah, that's fair.
If they are actually powerful enough to have killed Jeffrey Epstein and covered it up, then they are also perfectly capable of covering up any release of any information. Like, it's not. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just say, here's the thing, bro. You are being far too realistic and practical for most anybody in reality. Trust me, I'm telling you, because I have read so much stuff over the years and stuff about the intelligence agencies, and that ends up that is true, right? That is documented or ends up being true, and people just cannot believe that this is how it works, and so they want to convince themselves that something else is going on. But I think what I said earlier is just the reality of it. This is an intelligence op. It always has been, and therefore, wherever any information was, it's either destroyed or buried, or some oligarch has it, but we ain't getting it. So,
are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
We got to move on. Thank you for the call. And,
all right, I'll come back next week and we'll just continue this conversation, apparently, because we're not allowed to move on.
All right. Thank you, Skulldugger. Have a good night.
All right, bye.
Okay, that'll do it on calls this evening. Appreciate our callers. We're going to move into some emails. We'll catch up with Super Chat. We'll call it a night, Bill. By the way, Bill, if you need a break for any reason, go ahead and take it. I don't mean to hold you captive or hostage. I know sometimes the streams get a little long, but All right. As a reminder, if you'd like to send an email for consideration on the show, head over to the contact page on my website, mattchristiansenmedia.com/contact. Look for the MC Live questions box. You got one more week for email questions, and then I'll be on break for a month, and then I'll come back to them after that. So if you have a thought that you'd like to get out before I'm on break, send it in this week. We'll get to it next week. But starting with, let me pull up our emails here. Mad Max. Will gold close 2025 above $3,700 per ounce? Are you a precious metals guy, Bill?
Yeah, but I don't really have a lot, so
none of us have enough. Yeah,
right. I would say, yeah, dude. Through all of human history, it is the only thing that has had value consistently. And it continues to gain value. So
precious metals and Bitcoin are both on an influential run lately. And whatever you may think of Bitcoin, crypto, or you're more of a precious metals guy, or you're kind of like me where it's all of the above, none of this is financial advice. Consult your financial advisor. The only stupid thing is saving $1 as $1, because that's the only thing guaranteed to lose value. That's why you're seeing gold go crazy. You're seeing other precious metals go crazy. You're seeing Bitcoin and other cryptos go crazy. But I checked. And so gold today is about $3,400 an ounce. We're halfway through the year, a little more. That is up $2,600 from January 1st. Sorry, I got a very cool motorcycle man driving by very loudly. So if you hear a rumble, that's what that is. But that would be, if my math is correct, $800 gained just this year from 2,600. It's a 31% gain just this year, which is insane. Now I know that's maybe a little, that's not a little, that's a lot high historically. Gold rises over time, but that's a lot. It's on a big run lately. It would only need to gain 9% more, or about $300 to close the year at 3,700. So will it hit 3,700 an ounce this year? Right now, I'm going to comfortably speculate.
Yes!
That is not investment advice. Consult your financial advisor. But I don't know. I don't see a gold or precious metals crash coming anytime soon. So I think it's getting there.
Yeah, it well, they the central bank tries to fix the price of gold through various means, but you can't control the international market. That's the bottom line. So yeah.
Yeldarb, 1983, and thank you, Mad Max. Yeldarb, we're right back to it.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Yes, he's still talking about Jeffrey Epstein. He says he listened to the Sunday and Wednesday shows back to back last night. Thanks for tuning in. Two things occurred to me that may not have been obvious in the circus. I'll present them as open-ended as possible. One, Pam Bondi wasn't Trump's first pick for AG. Matt Gaetz was. Two, Trump is the last person I'd expect to need to be advised to read the room, but his outburst over the Epstein question was uncharacteristically a "please, Mr. President, read the effing room" moment. Even more so than bragging about the vaccine for a glorified cult right. At least there he just got quiet. And then there's P.S. Just curious. Sorry for the length. What is the story behind the jank clip of your opening clip there, Skag3, whoever he is? Okay, so whether Bondi was the first pick or not, Trump is still responsible for Bondi, and Trump should not excuse Bondi. The way she's performed so far, she does not have any business being pick number 2 either. She doesn't have business being pick 100 or 1,000 as far as I'm concerned. This was a terrible pick, and the hole that she has dug herself in is going to be all but impossible to come out of. I won't say impossible because, hey, you show us the information, you charge Obama, you charge Fauci, you start doing some of these big talk things. All right, but I haven't seen any indication that's going to happen. I'll leave the door open to the possibility that it may. And on the Epstein stuff, Trump has been uncharacteristically bad on that. I mean, I don't see any other way to characterize it, honestly. It's so bad that it leads you to believe that Trump is hiding something. And then he tells you that I suck for asking the truth, which doesn't help either. So it is a real spot if you try to give Trump a fair shake on this, because it's tough. As far as the last thought about jank and what's the story behind the opening clip, I know a lot of people know this, but I'll just be quick. But back in the day, there was a viral video about fat shaming, and maybe the first video I ever made that really took off, this is 2015, I think, was a response to all the outrage over Nicole Arbor, who made this fat shaming video, and it was a defense of free speech and telling people who were upset about it to fuck off, I think in more philosophical terms, I hope. But it got a lot of play. And because it got a lot of play, it got embedded in a BuzzFeed article. And Cenk Uygur on the Young Turks was reading the BuzzFeed article on the Young Turks show, and the BuzzFeed article, I can't remember if BuzzFeed misattributed or if Cenk read it wrong, but a quote was attributed to me, something that was way, you think that I'm like too reserved or too fence city or too polite now. Back then, I mean, go back and watch me in 2015, I was very careful with my words. And so the idea that I would say, fuck fat people, I hate them, or whatever was quoted in the story, clearly that was not me, but Cenk thought it was me, and so it was Skag3, whoever he is, looks at the camera, listen, prick, and he gave me a lesson, shaking his finger at me. But I did get in touch with Cenk. I tweeted him, and I said, that's not me. And they did retract. They did correct it. But I've held onto the soundbite ever since. And because of that, Cenk follows me on X, but I don't follow that son of a bitch back, and I never will. That's the story of that clip.
I will say this, Matt. If I know you've taken things down, but like if you had seen stuff like the live show from the beginning over the years, you have definitely changed a lot politically. It's good though, because you've grown. I think, and I don't mean this insultingly, but I think you found your manhood. You found it outside of the culture.
How dare you?
Yeah. How dare you?
I was awesome in 2015. I was the manliest man ever.
Yeah. No, but I mean, seriously, because the culture suppresses manhood. They want feminine men. Yeah. And I think that just, you're like, oh, this is bullshit. And you're like, eventually you're like, man, fuck this stuff, right?
Oh, I learned the truth about women in the prior decade. Let me tell you.
Yes. That'll do it. That'll do it for a lot of us.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. Thank you. That was Yeldarp 1983. Thanks for emailing. Okay. Eric America. What would you say is the best blue state and the best? Oh, I misread this wrong. I thought it was best blue state and worst red state. So I guess it's best of both. Well, if it's best red state, it's Montana. Honorable mention. I like Wyoming. Maybe I would live in South Dakota. End of list. Mountain region.
West Virginia. Shut up.
Well, I've never been there, so I mean, it could be cool. I'm not going to say that it sucks. I've just never been there. Okay. But for me, I want to live in a Mountain West red state. So I'm happy right here. If you meant worst, this is not anything to do with the politics. It's just I can't stand the swampy, humid South. So like I'm not living in Alabama, Mississippi, probably not Georgia, maybe Florida. I don't know. Probably not though. I think I would hate that. Best blue states. Now I actually love the entire West Coast, not the politics, the places. I lived in Portland when I went to school. I lived in the Bay Area of California. I didn't love the Bay Area as much, but there's a lot about California that anybody could. You love mountains, they got that. They got beaches. They have weather's great. Washington's cool. If it wasn't for the politics, I could live in any of those places. And of course, honorable mention to Minnesota. If my family had to live, I think we'd really enjoy the lake life, but it's run by representatives from Mogadishu, and so it's over. And of course, Tim Walz's friends run the place.
I've become friends with school shooters.
So it's a non-starter for us to go back to Minnesota. But if the politics could be erased, I think we could live there quite happily. You have thoughts on the best and worst red states or blue states or whatever the question was?
I mean, my only thought was, now I understand why everyone thinks you're gay, Matt, because of your love of those blue states.
Well, you don't think California is an awesome place if it wasn't for...
I've never been to California. I've been to Washington.
Wow.
No, I've been to Washington State once, on the coast, a very secluded location up in the Olympia Peninsula. And that was wonderful. And my wife and I had a grand time there at a friend's wedding. But no, I like the Western idea, but I'm good here on the East Coast, man.
Have you lived there your whole life, or have you? I know you were in the Marine Corps and stuff, but as far as your residence, have you?
I literally. So I'm in West Virginia now. I grew up, 15 miles, 20 miles up the road in Maryland, and where I live at's in Appalachia, right? So, like, around this area, you could say Appalachia or or you could say the Appalachians or Appalachia, because it depends on north versus, north and south. So it's kind of like a mixed area. But basically, if I drive 10 minutes, I'm in Maryland. If I drive another 10 minutes, I'm in Pennsylvania. If I drive south 10 minutes, I'm in Virginia. I'm 60 miles from DC. I'm 4 hours from New York City. I'm about 3 hours from Philadelphia. Baltimore is an hour and a half ish, with traffic away. So yeah, I like it here, man. And I don't know. The West is big and there's a lot of land and it's great and all, but I just feel like the politics, they go purple, they go blue. A lot of that's happening out west,
Well, so definitely the wrong crowd has moved into Gallatin County here specifically. So there are like spots, and I'm annoyed by that. But as far as the state politics overall, I mean, they're great. I'm not worried about like some Democrat takeover in the near future. Then again, all I have to do is look 2 states south and see what's happened in Colorado, and all we need is I don't know, 20 more years, maybe 10 more years of what happened there, and Montana will be that. So yeah, it's possible.
Well, let's say, yeah. I will say I would love to go to Montana. Would love to visit, and of course, I've told you in the past, one day I will make it out there to Bozeman, and we'll have lunch. Or
I realized well, you're invited to do that anytime, of course.
Right.
I actually realized I just was an idiot and didn't read the question right. It's best blue state, best red state, and worst blue and worst red. So I think the only one I didn't explain so far is, okay, worst blue. I don't think that it's hard. Like there's not I haven't traveled to the East Coast much, but I don't think I would enjoy living in like New York, even if the politics were sane.
Jersey's worse.
Something like that, like those East Coast places, I don't think would be for me. So for the worst blue, I guess I have to go with that.
My wife's from New York. New York's a red state. Only the city's blue. Only the cities. And New York is a red state. Like, people have to understand this. She's from Albany, and a lot of her family's in the countryside. It's Trump country.
Yeah.
It's the cities that swing their vote. So yeah.
Well, thank you, Eric America. Sorry if I botched that. And I guess I should have thought too, do I have to accept them as they are politically, or can I like have these blue states in an apolitical state of nature? Because that influences the question. Anyway, I hope that was that answer was to your satisfaction. I'm sure it wasn't, but we'll try again another time. Thanks for sending your email. Chief Justice, do you think that it is disrespectful of President Trump and some of his supporters to claim that Trump was saved by God in Butler, Pennsylvania, given that an innocent person, Corey Comparator, ended up getting killed instead? Generally, I don't. I don't think I do think that Corey Comparator, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing his name because I've never been able to say it correctly. I think he should be recognized more than he is. Now, Trump did recognize him with his fireman's jacket and all that stuff, but he is often kind of a secondary mention when we talk about what happened in Butler. Number one, though, as far as I'm aware, we don't know that the bullet that missed Trump or grazed his ear is the same one that hit Corey, do we? There were several shots fired. So
yeah, I think it was on the rapid fire after that initial shot that hit him, because people started realizing what was going on and taking cover, and he was trying to cover his family, they said.
Yeah. So that's a slight point. That might, generally speaking, it was the same event, obviously, even if it wasn't the same round. But more to the point, appreciating that someone got saved, as Trump was that day, I don't think that necessarily means that it's good that someone else wasn't, or that you're disrespecting the loss of that person. I think the point that people who say this are trying to make is that God has a plan. And that is, in general, a belief that I share, or that there's a purpose for you, is the way that I prefer to phrase that. The idea being that God guides you on that purpose or toward that purpose, and you would be wise to listen to that guidance. And I know it's hard to think of getting shot as part of a purpose. The thing is, we have no idea how situations play out in a different world, though. I'm always fascinated by the butterfly effect, because like anybody else, there are lots of things in my life that I wish I could go back and change. And I think my life would be so different if I could just go to that moment and change what happened there, because clearly terrible things wouldn't have happened and I'd be in a much better situation if I had just acted differently right at that spot. But the thing that's crazy about the butterfly effect, and hopefully much better than the movie that I didn't like, you always think like if you fix the one thing that all the secondary consequences will be better. But they might not. The secondary consequences might be much worse. Just because you supposedly fixed one thing doesn't mean there aren't all sorts of horrible consequences that may happen as a result of that. To give you another example about like how this might play out, whether it's disrespectful or not, or whether we think there's a plan or a purpose here applied or not, even if it seems counterintuitive. Let's say there's a surviving soldier in an ambush where a bunch of other guys died. Would it be disrespectful of that soldier or his family to say, well, God really watched out for me that day? I don't interpret it that way, that he's disrespecting the guys who didn't make it. I think it's what happened, and he's finding value or truth in what he believes to be a purpose for that event. And to me, getting older, I think it's one of the most difficult things to accept in life or to wrap your mind around, is that even the terrible things in life have purpose. There is a reason for things. You are on a path for a reason. You have to trust in that, even when the path seems totally unjust, totally wrong, like it could never be allowed by a just God. Understanding and appreciating that there's a purpose that makes sense of that. I think it's true, but I also think it's one of the most psychologically or mentally difficult things to try to accept. But to the big point, I don't think anybody who's appreciating God's plan, which is what they're trying to do here, I don't think they're doing that with intentional disrespect to the dead, obviously. Maybe you interpret it that way, but I don't think it's being presented that way. Bill, do you have thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, what you were just saying there is pretty important. I think that, I don't know. I think that Corey Compatore isn't mentioned usually with the assassination. I think the assassination was a very huge event, and it should be more focused back on Trump, and he will use it at, political speeches and at certain points for his favor. And of course, all politicians are going to do that. So, why would you expect any different? But, yeah, the number one thing that actually pissed me off about that wasn't that they tried to kill or shoot Trump, is that this innocent guy was there and he died. And that actually really upset me, because, I've never been a firefighter or anything, although I did apply once and just decided to drop out because the competition was insane for like 2 spots, and people coming from like, all the way out from Michigan to try and get a job out this way. So it was crazy. And they had already been in the fire department for a while. I was volunteering and stuff like that. And I didn't have that background. But in any case, it's a hard, or can be a hard life. It's a hard job. A lot of the stuff they do is EMT stuff. You see a lot of death. You see a lot of tragic things. I don't know that guy's life, but he served people. And I've made almost my entire life, my entire career about serving people. And, even as a correctional officer, like, it's not about people don't understand. It's not about just like banging some inmate's head and saying, get in the cell kind of thing or whatever, get in line. You're actually taking care of those people. You're tending to their needs. You're doing a lot of stuff for them. You get to know them. And so serving your community is a really big deal. And this guy was there to support Trump, who I'm sure he believed was going to get us on the correct path, or at least a better path than was going to be Biden or Kamala Harris, right? And so I think maybe we should reflect on Corey a little bit more. It does get lost in the weeds.
Yeah. If there is any disrespect, I would say it's Just the fact that he's not mentioned as much. I don't think it's disrespectful to him to say that Trump was saved by God's hand or something like that. But
I think Trump was saved by God's hand.
To
honestly.
omit him, if we omit him from the discussion, is
you have to acknowledge his sacrifice, even though, and I know it seems silly to modern people, but he was a sacrifice. He was a just a viewer. He was an innocent person sitting there, and he was a person again who lived, by all accounts, a pretty selfless, respectable life. Obviously, we don't know who Corey was as an individual in his worst moments, but we can get a sense that his family really loved him. He was a good guy, and he died because some nutbag thought that he was going to change the course of history.
Still don't know anything about that nutbag.
Right.
One of history's most mysterious nutbags.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Chief Justice. Nate's got a kind of a long one here, but I think worthwhile to consider. Matt, been thinking about the time you mentioned there was a bill in Congress that bans interest rates above a certain percentage. There was one about credit card interest rates recently. That's probably the one you're referring to, I think. I'll give you 3 reasons why getting rid of usury or high interest rates would be a good thing. Number 1, biblical or moral reasons. In the Bible, the people of God are forbidden from lending money at interest to each other. This continued after the incarnation, with the church forbidding Christians lending at interest rates to other Christians. Social reasons. It is a fact that it is a fact of life that large segments of the American population don't understand the math of interest and cannot consent to taking out a loan. A larger portion understands but don't have the self-control to use debt wisely. This creates a class of otherwise productive people who are functionally debt slaves, creating instability in the body politic. And the last reason is political, that after the social costs suffered by those things described above, these people often turn to socialist demagogues that offer solutions which just so happen to tax the middle class and business owners while the large banks are unaffected. Funny how that goes. So I want to separate, I think, the moral issue here and the legal issue. And the reason I do that is because I think the purpose of the law and morality are a little bit different, though they do overlap. What I mean by that is the law exists to prevent or protect you from having your rights violated by others. Now, there are all sorts of immoral behaviors that could be engaged in that fit within that framework that I don't think should be encouraged or should be explained away, but I don't think that they're a target for the law because they are not about the violation of the rights of others. So where does capping interest rates fit into that framework? Well, number 1, you mentioned Congress doing this. I would completely and totally oppose the federal government getting involved in making these sorts of restrictions on financial arrangements. Congress has no constitutional authority to do that. Maybe states want to regulate this sort of thing. That's probably within their police power, but Congress should not be doing this nationally. But let's say that a state wanted to do it. Would I want to do this in my state? Okay. I would not. If you encounter an interest rate that you believe is unacceptable or immoral, you're trying to borrow, you think the interest rate is way too high, you don't take out the loan. And if it's possible to borrow at a lower rate, someone wants to lend at a lower rate, someone will. The market corrects that. If someone is lending at too high of a rate and someone is going to undercut them, then that high rate is not going to be successful. Now, if Congress artificially sets interest rates, which the Fed kind of already does, but at least setting consumer interest rates that are too high in this concept here. If Congress is doing that, they're setting acceptable interest rates for personal lending, we're talking about. All it's going to mean is that certain people are not going to have access to credit. This is price fixing on borrowing is what we're talking about. When you do price fixing, you make the product less available. You can't make a more risky loan at a low interest rate. And so what that means is just the loan is not going to happen. And maybe you say, well, that's good because that person who was going to take out that risky loan, they would have been damaged by it. And you might be right that it may very well have been the right decision for them not to take out that risky loan. But the question is, whose decision is that to make? And I think it is that person's decision to make. In the same way, I think it's morally wise for you to save money in gold or Bitcoin. Not financial advice. Consult your financial advisor. I would oppose a law that requires you to put X amount of your money into a gold or Bitcoin savings account because it's morally the right thing to do, or it's wise. Now, I don't. The one thing that I think he says that I think is a little bit interesting is, okay, are some people taking out loans they don't fully understand? Well, number one, there's a mountain of paperwork when you take out a loan. You need to read every line. You need to be diligent about this. That's your own responsibility that you should handle. However, predatory lending is a thing. Trying to trick people is a thing. There are laws against that if you capture people up in some sort of trickery scheme like that. But maybe instead of banning a certain practice, maybe you recognize that there's a certain understanding or competence level necessary to do it. So you have some kind of licensure or permitting or some demonstration that you know what you're doing beyond just signing the paperwork. I don't know. I mean, I'd be more open to listen to something like that than just banning the interest rate beyond a certain point. Bottom line for me is I can't think of really anything financial that the federal government has ever improved by meddling in it. All they do is reduce your buying power. They reduce your choices. They make you worse off financially. And I think this would be another exercise in that. But Bill, do you have any thoughts on capping consumer interest rates?
I'm generally a free market guy, like as much as possible. Free market, baby, let it roll, because it's about the volunteerism. However, I do understand the old moral laws against usury. The interesting thing about people that talk about this, though, in medieval society is they never bring up that, well, what actually happened, though, is Christians couldn't have interest rates when they lent money, right? Because it was immoral. But you could always go to the Jew to get money, and they could provide interest rates against you, and that was no problem whatsoever to deal with them. And that's actually why the Jews became the big money lenders they became, because the Christians couldn't use usury. And what
do you know how it was defined back then? I just took the point as true. So I don't know.
Well, I forget what it is. Usury, I think, might have been anything over 10% interest, but I don't recall off the top of my head right now. I've been up since 7 a.m. and it's 11 here right now. So, and I've had 3 beers. Not that that's it's high life, so it's nothing. But
yeah, this sounds like a Hunter Biden podcast appearance at this point.
Right, exactly. But the point is
ambient
that,
after this,
my brain is not quite there on what it is, but I think it was like 10%, right? And the bigger point is that that kind of restriction actually creates a black market, and this is what always happens: is that there's the way markets work, regardless of whatever you want to believe, is that there's always a market, no matter what.
That's kind of
there's
true.
Either
yeah.
a market that's there's either a market that's legal or there's a market that's illegal.
At the same time,
one way or another, there's always a market.
I mean, at the same time, there are things we're not going to allow on the market for good reason, and so we don't use that as an excuse to say that they're fully legal. However, I just fail to see how, unless you can show me that someone was tricked, or maybe what Nate is talking about, where they didn't fully consent because they were taken advantage of on something they didn't understand. If you have 2 people shaking hands to a voluntary financial agreement, I don't see how anyone's rights are violated, and therefore I don't see it as an area for the law.
Okay, would you say that if I went to a loan shark, though? So that becomes the question, the moral question, because if I go to a loan shark, then there's no protection of the law, and a loan shark will come and he'll beat me up, or he'll trash my house, or
I guess I don't.
Whatever it is.
The definition being what is a loan shark operates out? What do you mean when you say
outside? It's a black market loaning opportunity,
Okay.
right? So like a mafioso, a gangster, or whatever, however you want to put it.
An
but that's that black market I was
unregulated
talking about.
lender.
Unregulated,
Okay.
yes, but when it comes to unregulated, see, our society has to come to a realization that there's a balance between these things, right? And I think we've approached it really immaturely in both aspects, honestly. Like, you can over restrict people, and then you can also under restrict people. And there's, but it's understanding there's always going to be like some sort of market if you don't have the right kind of balance for these things. There's always going to be a black market, and the idea that we can just eliminate evil, right, in predatory lending, I think is absurd. Just like having laws and law enforcement does not eliminate murder.
Yeah, but we still bring murder to justice. I think the question is,
No, 100%.
is lending at high interest rates a crime in the same way murder is a crime? I'm not convinced that it is. I think that if you sign
You're
your
not a
name with
lefty.
full understanding of what you're doing, then there's nothing criminal there. You decided you needed this money or wanted this money at this interest rate. You put your name on it. You made an agreement. The agreement ought to be enforced.
Right, but the leftists will tell you, okay, then is that okay with a loan shark, with a guy in the mafia who is going to break your legs if you don't pay up by the 15th? So that's where that goes. That's where that argument goes in the end.
I mean, threats in that way are already criminalized, though. I mean, even if you have an agreement that you're enforcing, I can't. Let's say that my friend owes me $1,000 and I want to take him on Judge Judy to resolve that. Like, I can't send him a text that says, "Listen, man, you pay tomorrow or I break your legs." That would be a criminal act.
How about hypothetical 1970s New York City, definitely mafia controlled area, or New Jersey, something like that. Like in, again, in that situation, 1970s, there is inflation, there's a gas crisis, there's things going on, credit's not easily available. You go to a loan shark. But this is how the left manipulates things, though. This is why I'm bringing up this example, and this is really what law and our government's supposed to do, is protect us from the predatory people and the predatory things. So it's a good question nonetheless. So
yeah, I guess to protect against predatory practices, I wouldn't go after a number. I would go after predatory practices. By that I mean, can you demonstrate that they did not provide full consent in some way, or tricked someone, lied to them, deceived them? It's not about the number at that point. It's the fact that they lacked the ability to consent. So how was that consent deprived? I think that's the criminal issue there. It's not the number itself. Anyway.
Sure.
Thank you. That was from Nate. Thank you, Nate, and thank you for your insight, Bill. All right. Here's a trap. Spreada. That's an interesting first name. Spreada Mopin.
Are you a gay man?
Fortification jokes aside, what is your actual position on whether or not the 2020 election was stolen? If you think it's possible that it was stolen, by how much do you think Trump would have won without the fortification? Now, do I think that machines and vote counts were actually manipulated? Like they hacked the machines, or they got all the USB drives and they changed the vote counts? Not really, or at least if that happened, the evidence of it happening on a large scale, as far as I've seen, is pretty slim. Maybe there's evidence out there I'm not aware of. I do think the fix was in rule changes. You had crucial states changing the rules to expand voting by mail, to expand ballot harvesting, to do all that on the fly. That mattered. That meant that you could have ballot harvesters going door to door, all but coercing people to vote the way they wanted them to vote. And then they could take those ballots, drop them off in a mailbox, and they would count. And we haven't really voted that way ever before in the history of our country. Now, it wasn't every single crucial state was doing that. I can't remember how it all broke down. There's Pennsylvania. It was a big deal there. A lot of these Midwestern states, it ended up being a big deal. So as far as the specific states, it's been a little bit. So I'd have to go back and account for all of them. But changing the rules in favor of a bunch of people going and collecting ballots from people who probably otherwise would not have voted, they just had someone banging on their door until they finally did, that matters. The media coverage matters. The cover up on the Hunter Biden laptop story, the refusal to cover that as a legitimate thing, censoring people on social media for talking about it, that had elements of a fix. So if we had a normal election, by that I mean voting the way we have historically and not changing the rules on the fly, and maybe if we actually had something closer to a fair public debate on social media where certain stories weren't banned, do I think Trump would have won? Yeah, I do. Let me put it this way. I think probably about at least 10% of Joe Biden's 81 million vote record, that was not people who would have voted under normal circumstances. They're people who had some ballot harvester, some organizer knocking on their door saying, "Hey man, have you voted yet? Hey man, have you voted yet? We got to get you." It was a giant hustle in that way. I don't think it was fake, like made up people. I think it was fake that they were successful in harvesting the votes of people who would not have voted otherwise. And I think that was millions, maybe even tens of millions of votes for Joe Biden. And I do think that it would have gone the other way for Trump. It would have been close. It's always going to be. I don't think it would have been like some massive landslide where Biden doesn't win a state or something like that. But yeah, those are the ways I think it was rigged, and I think the election would have been different if the rules had been more normal. But your thoughts, Bill?
Well, I think that there were a lot of fake votes. I think there were a lot of dead people voting. I think there were a lot of because I've looked at the information with people who weren't on the registers and stuff like that. But also like this idea of elections being rigged on various levels is very old. We know historically that it's happened, but I always like to point people to Hollywood or media, like entertainment media, because even though there's a lot of ridiculous stuff within it, there's a lot of truth within it too. And I always point back to in like the early 2000s, there was a show I think on CBS called The Good Wife, and I watched it a little bit. It's like about this woman returning to work after years. She was a lawyer in Chicago. Well, eventually her husband runs for office, for mayor, and they try to rig the election. They think he's not going to win, so they get fake votes and all this stuff. And it's just like this whole thing where they're making this show that's like a real reality behind the scenes of like Chicago politics. And what are Chicago politics? Well, that's Democrat politics. I just think that to use the common terms, like the Matrix is just so powerful upon people's minds, like the propaganda and all, that they just can't come to realize what the truth is. They can't accept the reality that, hey, no, actually there are all these operations going on, and there is evidence for it. For instance, I remember there was a house that was pinpointed that was like a halfway house for all these votes coming out of Pennsylvania somewhere. This was back last year, and I was looking at election stuff real time live. So like this stuff happens. It's about making laws and how they can manipulate it. And the ballot harvesting is legal in a lot of areas to some degree. But we know that Chinese nationals voted in the last election. We know these things happen. I think it's bigger. There's a lot larger scale than people believe. And speaking of Epstein's, I think it's Dr. Robert Epstein. He was the guy who was talking about Google.
Thank God,
stuff.
A different Epstein.
Yes, a different Epstein.
All right.
But he's the guy who was analyzing Google and stuff. He testified before Congress and talking about how Google and Facebook and at the time Twitter before Elon could manipulate elections, and that's the biggest way to manipulate things, right? Is funnel people's attention. So yeah,
I think definitely a lot of that going on. But
100%.
Thank you, Spreda. Is Spreda a girl's name? It sounds like a girl's name, like Greta.
Spread them open.
It's a beautiful young lady's name. If I have a daughter, we'll consider Spreda. Here's another one. Crumpled foreskin or fort skin.
That's disgusting.
Like Rumpelstiltskin? I don't know. Anyway, I believe elites are pouring money into abominable intelligence video and image generation so they can claim any video evidence of them was AI generated. Not just the Epstein stuff, but any photos or videos being evil thoughts. Butlerian jihad now. I don't even I actually don't know what either of these things are. Abominable intelligence video or Butlerian jihad. I don't. Is that related to Butler, Pennsylvania, like the Trump assassination attempt, or what is Butlerian jihad? I don't know.
That'd be the only thing I could think. Yeah.
All of this is news to me. I don't know what abominable intelligence is. I gather the theme of this question, like in the future, could evidence be faked or destroyed or denied by AI, computer manipulation? Yeah, I mean, the amount of advancement in this stuff in just the last couple of years, these deep fake videos and image generation and even people's voices. There was that hoax hate not long ago where a guy used AI to generate vocal recording, supposedly, of his boss, the principal, saying that he hates black people and hates Jews and stuff. And he used that to try to gain leverage in his employment dispute. So this stuff is definitely going to expand. And like any tool, some of it will be used for amazing things. Some of it will be used for terrible things. Right now, you can still tell that AI, like whenever you see a social media post by some engagement farming thing where they've used AI images, you can kind of tell it's a little off, or you hear these fake voice recordings. You can tell that it's not quite on with the way a human would actually speak. It sounds kind of generated, or you can still tell it's subtle, but how far it's come in a couple of years, dude, I don't know. Next decade, it's going to be a robot making this show. I won't even be doing it. It's just going to be AI me doing this show.
All right. So back, I don't know, probably last year or something, I was sick and looking on YouTube to find something to watch or whatever. And I come across this channel called That AI Guy, and he does a whole Dungeons and Dragons thing, like roundtable, AI voice, like video thing with a story, narrative, and all. But it's like supposed to be Donald Trump and like Gordon Ramsay.
Okay.
And who else?
We don't need impressionists anymore. The AI does it.
Yeah, but the writing is actually really good. I ended up watching this thing. I haven't watched it in a long time now, so I'm way behind on it. But it was just like really entertaining. But it was using the AI voices, and you could tell he makes Trump this character Tronald, who's supposed to be this wizard. He's basically the leader of the group. He's like the Gandalf of the group. But it is totally Donald Trump and what you would expect Donald Trump's character to be if he was playing Dungeons and Dragons. So it's hilarious. It's completely entertaining. But yes, it's going to get out of hand eventually, but there will be, I believe, technology developed to be like, well, AI buster or not, right? Is this real? Is this not real?
It's going to have to keep up. And right now it might be fairly easy, but give it a few years, man. It might not be. But thank you to all our email questioners. Appreciate you guys. As a reminder, if you'd like to send an email for consideration on the stream, head on over to the contact page on my website, mattchristiansenmedia.com/contact. Look for the MC Live questions box. We'll do one more round a week from now, July 30th, and then we'll be on break. And so we'll get back to questions in September after that. All right. We'll close out with Super Chat, Bill, and we will call it a night. Let's see what we got. I'm going to start over on YouTube. AP. I appreciated your take on that CEO scandal Sunday. I went through an unnecessary divorce a decade ago. Wish I could come on and share about it. Thankful to have my wife now and our adorable son. How have I talked about this on Sunday and it's like escaping my mind. What was the CEO scandal?
The bleachers at the Coldplay concert. I wouldn't even known about this. My wife had mentioned it to me.
God,
yeah.
I have Hunter Biden brain after 2 hours of streaming.
Yeah, I feel you, bro.
Well, yeah, that whole thing was. I mean, what a crazy story. And we don't, as far as I've seen, we don't have much more information on what exactly happened.
They just acted like they got caught. They acted like they got caught at something. If they just acted like a couple, no one would have known the wiser, right? I mean,
I'm sorry to hear about your divorce, AP, but all the best to you and your family. And if you'd like to talk about it, if it fits in a call, you're welcome to call, or if themes of it fit in an email, you're welcome to email about it. We can talk about it that way if you'd like to. Also says, furthermore, good on you for being an amazing dad, husband, son, and streamer. Keep up the amazing work. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And all the best to you as well.
We love you. You're very special.
Appreciate it, AP. Joshy boy, Trump isn't going after anyone. All talk, no action. Release the files. Start charging. Then my faith in this, and my faith in you might start its recovery. That being Trump. Yeah, I mean, I want to believe, man. Trust the plan. Charge someone. Just pick someone. Go. How about this? Assuming the factual allegations are true, would you rather see Obama or Fauci prosecuted?
Oh, Man.
Or assuming they're not true. Just want to see one of them prosecuted.
I don't really care about Obama.
Okay.
Honestly, Fauci has a very long career of evil stuff.
To me, that son of a bitch is the one you got to pick. And he definitely lied to Congress.
Yeah.
You can prove it. It's a very prosecutable case.
Obama was just this charismatic guy who had the right beliefs that they could use. So, I mean, that's the way I look at it, you know?
Okay. All right, Team Fauci. We'll see if it happens. Joshy Boy also says, love me some Mama Tulsi. Yes, I'm a massive simp for Aloha Lady. Well, you got to pick that. You got to hold Tulsi to the same standard as Donald. Tulsi's the one out there saying all this stuff. Oh, we got Obama now. Treasonous conspiracy. John Brennan, James Clapper, James Comey. Bunch of treasonous bastards, all of them. You have to hold Tulsi to account if you say that we need to prosecute. Although, of course, it's not her decision, but she's the one sending the criminal referral to Pam Bondi. This is as much Tulsi's fault as anybody else if Tulsi's going out there and saying treasonous conspiracy while being a part of the administration that did nothing about it so far. And again, I hope tomorrow the news breaks. Well, son of a bitch, they actually did it. I will be the first to say, good on you for standing by your word. Long Dong John. So I heard Obama has been referred to the DOJ. While speaking of Aloha Mama, Tulsi Gabbard, she kind of implied it today as far as I saw. So it seems like that may be the case. Now, what do you think will happen if it ends up in front of a DC jury or grand jury? A fair point. Pointless exercise. So where's the client list? I mean, I hate to believe that all of this is just a distraction away from the Epstein stuff, but the timing is kind of odd, isn't it? Oh, we got this stuff on Obama. Here it is.
You got to wonder how much coordination they have amongst themselves if, you know, all this stuff's all these releases are basically big nothing burgers, right? Until now, all of a sudden, like, why wasn't Tulsi talking to whomever? Oh, we're going to release these things in this sequence.
Well, and it would appear, because when the Epstein stuff came out, you had Pam Bondi blaming Kash Patel at the FBI for supposedly not handing over all the information. So it seemed like they were not on the same page. With this, you have Tulsi Gabbard coming out and doing Fox News hits, talking about Obama and company committing a treasonous conspiracy, and then saying, well, it's in Pam Bondi's hands now. That doesn't make any sense. That it would appear they're not strategizing with each other before talking about this publicly, which is
right.
That's not how you operate.
I mean, one of the most important things with any sort of leadership is communication amongst your lieutenants, right? Amongst the people who you've delegated to take care of these tasks for you. And if you don't have communication and correct coordination with that, then well, you're seeing the shit show, right? You're seeing, but we knew this happened. Mind you, I think there's less sabotage this time around, but we saw this happen in 2016, right? We saw this happen with the first administration, and yeah, probably a lack of plan that first time. But yeah.
Spirit of Lexington over on Rumble. The punched guy is mostly at fault this in the traffic stop and arrest. But cops have power over us and thus need to be more in control of their emotions. There was no practical value in the punch, and cops can't indulge in that. I wouldn't be surprised to see him punished in the workplace. And clearly you're not, unless there's something I'm not aware of. And again, I'm not a police officer. I don't have experience with law enforcement. But I mean, the punch does seem kind of indulgent. And it probably was not proper, and he probably will be punished for that. So, okay.
You can't, the guy's just sitting there. You can't, even though they need to remove him, you can't just break the window and punch a guy. Now, he can get away with that. The cop can probably get away with that. Right. So that's my bigger point. But as far as like technically the way use of force works, they should have grabbed the guy, tried to pull him out. Then if he resisted, then strikes are thrown. Like there's an actual escalation. Most departments use a force wheel now where you can jump from any point to any point. But still, there's this like traditional, very classical within law. It's been taught for a very long time. Escalation. And you're, as a cop, one step above. Well, if the guy's just sitting there, a punch is two steps above, and one step above would be grabbing him, right? If the guy's just sitting there passively. So there we go.
Spirit of Lexington has a few here, so I'm going to get through these. Trump's, are you still talking about Epstein? Yeah.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
That was 4 days ago, 5 days ago energy. Yeah.
That was 4 days ago, 5 days ago.
You're right. They are very similar theme. I had not thought of that, but yeah. He died so long ago. What are you even talking about?
There needs to be one sounder, Matt.
I could combine them. I don't have them on the board next to each other, so it's hard to go back to back. But I could cut them together or place them together. I never made that connection though. But you're right. Those are very similar things. Also says, I think there's two options for why the files haven't been released. One, Trump's friends or associates are named. Two, the files aren't exact and there might be collateral damage to innocent people, or both. There are plausible reasons why they might not be, or it takes a lot longer. Should have just said that. Instead of, the files are on my desk, big truckload, you're going to be amazed. Da, da, da. You do the work. It doesn't matter whether you're at the Justice Department, whether you're in politics, whether you are a plumber, whether you run a grocery store, whatever job you may have. Classic piece of wisdom in business. You do not oversell and underdeliver. You undersell and overdeliver. They should have shut the hell up until they were ready to release things. And if people had questions in the meantime, you say, we are actively working on it. There are a lot of considerations that have to be factored in. It's going to take some time because of those, but we are actively working on it. We'll have more information for you when it's ready. Simple as that. You don't have to do the stupid hype. But Pam Bondi just can't help herself. Okay. Dangerous Space's friendly call screener has a few here. Hunter also discussed in great detail why crack is better and cleaner than cocaine. I mean, but it is cocaine. It's just a different form of cocaine, right? It's just not the powder stuff.
Yes,
Okay.
it's the exact same thing chemically, but altered in a way in which you can smoke it. And from what I understand, because you can smoke it, though, the high is more intense.
It's more huntery.
Blood. Right. It gets to your bloodstream quicker, which also means that it fizzles out quicker. Right?
Okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, Hunter! I think Hunter, as part of these appearances, he also denied that the cocaine in the White House was his. So, decide if you believe him. But
wait, but I thought I remember Bongino or someone else saying that actually there was something on that where it wasn't Hunter's, like that there was legitimate intel on that.
I don't know. Maybe there are fingerprints or something. But Hunter says it wasn't his. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the, of course, prime suspect. But maybe it was somebody else. I mean, just saying. I don't know. I thought I remember hearing that though at some point.
Speaking of, and I got a lot of respect for Dan Bongino. I think he's a good guy. I thought that maybe something would have happened because he's got this feud with Pam Bondi. We're now like a week and change removed from that, and is Dan just going to go back to the FBI? Is that what's going to happen here?
I think someone talked him off a cliff. He didn't resign.
No, there was talk like he was going to, but it didn't happen.
And so did Cash. Cash had the same thing, didn't he?
Yeah, but then he came out with that tweet that's like, the fact is the conspiracy theories were never true, and that's that. So move along. Dan didn't do that, as far as I saw.
I'm like the least politically aware I've ever been in my life right now because everything going on in my home life. But yeah. I mean, I saw the stuff about that. And I'm like, I don't think this is going to happen. Of course, Trump, he hasn't done anything, so he's not going to do anything. Someone calmed them down. I don't know who the guy is. I don't know who maybe it was Trump himself. He's like, listen, you know, you got to do the thing. Everybody knows.
I didn't know.
Everybody knows this is how we're doing it.
I didn't know there was a Trump impression ready for deployment.
Boo.
All right. It's not that bad, actually. I've definitely heard worse. And I don't think I could do better. Anyway. Also says, very skeptical that Joe Biden was actually on Ambien. Why do I say that? Not once during the entire debate did Joe Biden insist that Valerie Jarrett looked like she was from Planet of the Apes. I mean, I'm not saying it's not a racial thing, okay? And I remember there are many takes that I would go back and take back. Of course, if you talk on the internet for a decade, that's true. As I recall, I think I was tougher on Roseanne Barr than I should have been. And the truth is, Valerie Jarrett looks like she belongs. At least she looks like she was born in the movie Planet of the Apes, okay? There's no denying the similarity. And Roseanne Barr did not deserve what happened to her for that.
I feel like you acknowledged that, though.
No, I'm pretty sure. I think I was tough on her. I don't
No,
think I was
you might have been tough on Roseanne.
Yeah.
But I think you acknowledged Jared's look.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
At least I got that then. I hope. Because anybody who denies that is just not telling the truth. All right.
Well, I mean, as Joe Rogan says, look at George Bush Jr., right? That guy's...
He's a very apey... Yeah.
Yes.
He just is. He's very chimpy. It's not even a race thing. He's just chimpy. And everybody knows it. You know who else is very apey? And it's not a race thing? Ron Perlman. That guy.
Yes, 100%.
He's a gorilla. Okay? He also deserves to be cast in Planet of the Apes. I'll pick one from every race if you want. There's got to be an Asian out there. There are apey people of all kinds, okay? And George W. Bush,
like
Ron Perlman.
Stupid tall, too?
Like I don't know, maybe.
I think that's part of his ape thing. His jaw is like 7 feet long.
All right. Dangerous Spaces. Trump is clearly censoring Colbert. It's just one of those weird censorships where you have to allow a person to keep bad-mouthing you for 10 more months. Also, why they scrap the show rather than the host. Yeah, well, and the whole decision to let the show go on for 10 months I find bizarre. The whole thing is weird. Dangerous Spaces says, new caller Archangel didn't get in today, but did express appreciation for your quality videos and streams and the hard work that you put in.
We love you. You're very special.
One more chance to be a new caller before Matt's break. That's true. We'll have calls. I don't plan on radical restructuring, so I plan to continue calls when we're back. So thank you, Archangel. I really appreciate it. And lastly, Tim says, I'm convinced there were lots of fraudulent ballots in 2020. 7 million Democrat voters just decided not to vote against Orange Man bad this time. No. Cheating methods were banned this last election. Yeah, I don't know that depends what your definition of a fraudulent ballot is. What I'm saying is I don't know if it was like fake people, but when I say it, I mean ballots that would not have been cast were it not for the rule changes is what I'm talking about. Were it not for the bizarre circumstances.
Well, Frank had, your friend, quite frankly, he had Audit New York on the other year, a while back.
I think I saw
long
that.
before the election.
Okay.
Yeah, it was one of the best streams I saw that week because they were really going through how the voter rolls are so screwed up and purposely screwed up and how dead people vote and all those other things. But yeah, man, I think like if you start looking at like California, do you really think California has a legitimate voter process?
Well, that's the crazy thing about
coming
California. It's like the Patriots, okay? They don't have to cheat, but they still do, okay?
Right,
And,
right.
and the reason I know that, I'll tell you why. I've said this on the stream before. Okay, my wife never voted in she lived in California, never voted in California, okay? Moves here in 2020 when she's been gone from California for 2 years, receives a ballot at her dad's house, and her dad had since moved to a new place. So she didn't live with her dad. She hadn't been in California for 2 years. Her dad has since moved to a different house from where, like her childhood home or something, or where maybe they once lived together. Completely different home, completely unconnected to her. She still receives a ballot at that home, and theoretically, her dad could have filled it out for her, sent it in the mail, and probably could have counted. How in the hell did she end up on a list to receive a ballot in the state of California in 2020 when she left years prior?
Because that's not right. Because the Democrats and if you get into this, the Democrats have run the voting system for decades, and they actually, until very recently, they didn't even allow poll watchers who were Republicans around. It didn't exist, dude. So this is in the last couple of decades that started. But yeah, my wife and I received some ballots in the 2020 election, if I'm not mistaken, at my old residence, which when I moved out of there, I'd been there for 9 years. But yeah, we received some ballots that weren't ours. Now, we aren't Democrats, so we didn't fill them out.
Put them in the mail.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought about it and I told her, I joked about it, but I'm like, no, we're not going to do that because I actually believe in God and that I have to account for things, So I wouldn't do that kind of thing. But that's why they win, because I believe in God and believe I have to account for things, and they don't.
They might win
So,
today, but they don't
yeah.
win long term. And
Yeah.
I know you know that, but trust me, justice is coming for them. Maybe not Trump's justice, but God's justice one day. Ninja Kitty Bonks, Trump needs to STFU about Obama and let the system work if it is going to do so. If this falls apart, and it very likely will, he will lose massive support and be a lame duck for the rest of the term. Hey, even if I could forgive the Epstein stuff, and that's a big ask because of how badly this was botched, if you just want me to move on from it and act like nobody ever cared, dude, if you do the Obama thing on top of it and say, treasonous conspiracy, we got him this time, and then you also just walk away from that, how am I supposed to believe anything you say from this point forward? Everything is going to be viewed as like some kind of ridiculous sell job pursuant to nothing, where you're trying to distract me from something else and just maintain my attention with big promises that are never realized. I hope that they step up and do all the things they're talking about, but they are playing with political fire right now with the promises and the big claims that they're making. A fire hot enough that I think even their most loyal support, and Donald Trump has a loyal base of support, maybe more than any politician I've ever seen outside of Obama. This fire is going to be hot enough to burn a lot of that support, though, if they don't get serious about what the hell they're talking about. And it sucks. I want Trump to do well. I even though I'm ripping on what he's doing right now, and I think a lot of people are, it's not like this guy sucks, I hate him forever. It's like, come on, man. I know that you've done great things. Like, I know you can get back on track. Just stop telling me that I suck for hoping for better or wanting better or caring about what you told me to care about 5 seconds ago.
Honestly, Matt, that was like Trump being like, are we still talking about Epstein? I was like, that is the Trump answer, because it's like, yeah, we're done with this. It's time to move on. Now, he got so much flack that he had to address it with something.
And so they went to the court and said, can we have some Epstein documents? And they said, no. You're going to have to go back to Pam Bondi's desk to get them. Anyway, all right, closing out on Odyssey. Blankets. Matt, sorry for not chatting more on the Sunday stream. No idea, but I wasn't able to give more chats. Hey, you don't apologize for supporting the show. Appreciate you, Blankets. Matt, did you see this? Fruit Loops. They're removing the dye from the Fruit Loops, too. So another RFK Jr. win. Looks like all these companies are just kind of signing on to do this voluntarily. Everybody agrees the dyes are bad and the artificial sugars and stuff are bad. So, all right. Or the synthesized sugars or whatever. We're getting rid of high fructose corn syrup Coke, Trump says, but that's the best Coke. I don't care what anyone says. Fight me. The Mexican real sugar is trash. Give me the American high fructose corn syrup Coke. Anyway,
you want to hear an Altus fact?
Sure.
If you measure that high fructose corn syrup Coke versus the actual Mexican sugar Coke, the Mexican sugar Coke will appear to look like it has high fructose corn syrup in it. And I don't remember the chemical reason for it, but yeah. There's a whole YouTube video, Matt, I can send you to, but I'd have to find it. Anyways, you finish up.
Blankets. Where did it go? I was going to try to show this. I don't even know if I can put it up on the screen. Blankets. I know it's tough to do, but he's always sending me good memes in the Odyssey chat, which you can do. You can post memes over there. It's all the memes of the. Well, can I just let me see if I can do this.
Are you on Odyssey still? Man, I haven't heard that in a while.
It's there's not a ton of people on Odyssey, but I am still on Odyssey, and yeah, so it's still a good platform. I like what they're doing.
No, it is a good platform.
Here we go. Here's one of the memes that I was sent. It's Ozzy and the bat on the on the kiss cam. So I guess they've reconciled. That's great. Anyway, R.I.P. Ozzy. And anything else you want to say before we're out of here, man? It's been almost a 3-hour stream, so time flew by. Holy cow.
Yeah, well, hopefully that wasn't my fault. But guys, I'd appreciate it if you could support me. But if you can't, I understand. My biggest thing is like you have to support creators, people, whatever it is that you want. You actually literally have to put your effort into, your money into, your dollars, whatever it is that's out there. So even if it's just $1 or $2, like if enough people do this, then it makes a bigger impact. I will tell you right now that my wife works in fundraising. Okay. It's called development, and young people really, because we don't have money to give, right? I'm not necessarily young anymore, but anyways, young people, they don't give a ton of money per se. And one of the reasons why your politics are influenced the way they are is because old people have money and they give. However, if you can't give a lot, if you can just give a little to whatever you're after, if that's Matt, right? If you support Matt, if that's me and my family, if that's anything else that you want to see be built up in life, you need to donate to it. You need to put your effort to it. That's all I'm going to say. I appreciate your help. And the biggest thing is that if you want to win this fight, guys, you have to be in the fight somehow, right? You have to put some skin in the game, right? You can't just be watching YouTube videos. That's all I'm saying.
I appreciate the watching of YouTube videos, though.
Well, yeah. It does, but my bigger point is that be more proactive, and if it's not money, then help out another way, right? So, yeah.
Well, God bless you and your wife, Bill.
We love you.
Thank you,
You're
sir.
very special.
I hope the best for you. And hey, thanks for stopping by and joining the stream. This was fun. I really appreciate it. So, circumstance aside, it was fun for its own sake too. And I hope you'll come back. Hey, you already got endorsed as a shotgun sitter over one of my other shotgun sitters. So I guess you have an edge. A popular demand. You're gonna have to come back, I guess. But
we'll see. We'll see how many comments about how I'm a retard come up. So
half the comments will be
You're a faggot. Shut up, faggot.
and so forth. All right, we'll leave it there. Appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Thank you to our live chatters and super chatters and callers for making the live show a success. If you're listening on demand later, thank you kindly as well for supporting the show. Thanks to our emailers, too. Thanks to Bill for sitting in tonight. Find his GiveSendGo link at top of the description. Please help out his family if you're able. Thanks to producer Tim for his assistance as always. Anything else show-related, mattchristiansenmedia.com or mattis.gay if you prefer brevity. I'll be back on Sunday. Have a good night.